here. I'm just looking you right in the eye.
Which is rare for the two of us to make eye contact.
Yeah, we don't do that.
No. But hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 11 of Patch Notes, the Home Games podcast. It's the first episode of 2020.
The year is 2020.
That's right.
Two nerds sit in Yazeed's kitchen.
That's right. You know, I was thinking on my trip, one of the books I took was the Aeneid. And it's a Roman epic poem. And I was thought about the subtitle for this one could be MMXX because that's 2020 in Roman numerals.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's nonsense, but most of our titles are nonsense.
That is true. For people who don't know, actually, I'm very into epic poems. Joseph, actually, for my birthday, he got me a really nice copy of the Iliad, which I have on my bookshelf in my office.
I'm glad you liked it. I don't read books. I was just like, this is it. I don't know.
No, I really like epic poems. The only one I'm missing, I think, right now is Beowulf. That's the last one I need to get because I own Gilgamesh, which is like one of the first ones, and then I have the Iliad and the Odyssey, and Paradise Lost, and now the Aeneid. So I own quite a few. I haven't finished the Aeneid yet. I'm still working on it.
I sometimes forget how big of a nerd you are outside of like the regular nerd stuff we do.
Yeah, outside of like playing games and like writing code and stuff, I really do enjoy reading.
Yeah.
But it's not on like a dating profile or anything like that because I reading's a solo activity. You don't want other people to read.
But once we get super famous, it's going to be your dating profile. Everyone's going to know everything about you. It's like, I listen to the podcast. He loves reading.
Dangerous.
He loves
chocolate.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Well, see, you tend to keep it light on personal info.
That's true. I don't even know if I do that on purpose. I think it might just be accidental, honestly.
I barely know anything about you.
That's not true. You've known me for so many years. Let me tell you, Joseph is one of the best present givers ever.
Puts pressure on me when he says that.
I mean, I am, but you've hit it out of the park every year for years now.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I try. Your birthday is near Christmas. You don't celebrate Christmas, so it makes it interesting because I'm already in this thing of gift giving for a lot of other people, and generally it's like, I'll give them a gift card, who cares? But for you, since it's not Christmas, I have to like think separately, and then it's just like, well, what does he like?
I mean, it was the year that you got me the John Wick, and I think that was the same year you got me the Iliad too. And then the scented candles. For people who don't know, I cherish those candles very much. So I actually haven't opened or used them. I hold on to them, and then when I'm having a bad day or something, I just take a whiff and I get a little bit of chocolate. And it's just it's a good feeling.
Yeah, it's a Hershey scented candle, and he's had it, I think, for 5 years, something like that.
Yeah, I have. Actually, I bought myself a York Patty scented one too, so it has that like mint. But I also haven't opened that one. But that one has like a screw on top, so I don't know like how airtight it is and all that stuff.
Yeah. You should probably light those sometime because it'll just get worse. Isn't that a thing? Don't candles get like not smell great after?
I have no idea.
They deteriorate.
These are the only candles I've ever owned, I think. I know I know that you do the Bath and Body Works like Candle Day and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't buy candles.
I think you should start getting candles, and then once you are comfortable, like with just having a 3-wick just lit on the regular, you can't go back.
All right, I'm gonna throw something in the sink, so we're gonna have to cut this next part.
Oh my goodness!
All right.
Speaking of the microphone picking up things, I was gonna tell you, this is something you probably might already know. I don't know. After recording 11 episodes of this, and most of them with this mic, I just this morning realized there's a front and a back to this mic. So this dot here facing us, I'm like 61% sure it's the front. But I was listening to our previous episode, which I apologize for that terrible audio quality and for Alex just as a person. But you could hear Alex super clearly and the crinkling of his bag and the one point where you can hear him crunching on something. And it's like, okay, well, why is he so clear? He doesn't talk that much louder than us. Me and Zenobia were fairly quiet, and I realized it's because the front was right at Alex. And I didn't know there was a front.
That's very funny.
You have an omnidirectional mic. This one is not.
Well, so mine can be omnidirectional or one direction. I can change, or two directional. And then normally when I'm recording, it's just I record one direction so it doesn't pick up when it's bouncing against the wall behind it.
Yeah.
But when we were recording, like for people who don't know, we're also in the echo cavern again. So this is the second episode in the echo chamber. But when I was recording it, the last episode, I actually needed to change it to like the all direction. And I was really worried it was going to pick up so much echo.
Yeah. Well, that one sounded fine. I was far from the mic on that episode, and I don't talk very loud. So I think that was probably the thing.
That's true. You and JC both don't talk very loud. I talk very loud.
You talk very loud.
I think I just get excited.
You do.
And then I just talk.
And then your whole thing, you don't do this so much, or maybe you don't, or you do, and I don't see it so much, but as you get more into the story you're telling, you just get louder and louder to the point where you're screaming at the end of your story.
You know what? That's true. I think that's a family thing, because in my family, we don't listen to each other very well. We just talk over each other. And so the loudest voice is the one that gets to tell their story. Yeah. So if I want to tell a story, I got to be real loud. It's probably also why so many of my family members are probably going to need hearing aids. What's up, man? How's it going? What's new? How's 2020 treating you?
2020 has been okay. I've been eating a lot, like you do when you come home for the holidays. I've been here almost 2 weeks, which is that weird kind of vacation where it's too long. So I went back to work on Thursday and forgot how to do my job. But I'm good. I this morning went to go get some tacos or burritos at the taco place with my mom and my nana. You can't get tacos in Seattle, so that was good.
Nice. Have you ever thought about opening your own taco shop in Seattle?
I don't think I can do anything in Seattle. It's prohibitively expensive to do anything there.
Oh, that's probably true.
If you want to start a business, you got to be a millionaire when you start. Otherwise, it's like no point.
Ooh, okay. I did not know that.
I don't know. I hate Seattle. So there actually is a good place there called TNT Taqueria. That's probably the only good, or in my opinion, the best burrito / taco place. And they have good horchata, which when someone has homemade horchata, you know it's legit. That's a cinnamon rice beverage.
Mm-hmm. It's like with milk, right? It's like milk, rice, and then cinnamon traditionally. Mm-hmm. I've had it in elementary school.
Only in Tucson would you be introduced to that in elementary school.
I didn't know that was a thing. And then they were like, would you like some horchata? And I was like, what is that? And they're like, it's just milk. Now, at the time, I didn't know I was lactose intolerant, so it ruined me for a while. But now I can drink it. I know my limit, and I also know I can just take Lactaid, and I'll be okay.
Yeah.
But I actually thought I was like, whatever is in that has ruined me for life. And I thought it was the rice and milk combination, but it turns out that it's just
milk.
It's just the milk, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I've just been eating a bunch. I had in my notes. I was reading earlier. Let me see.
Are you taking notes in Vim?
Yeah.
Oh my god, this guy. All right. Before the podcast starts, he made fun of my handwriting because I was handwriting notes for the podcast, and my handwriting is pretty bad. But this man's taking notes in Vim. All right, that's all I'm saying.
I mean, at least you can read these notes. I cannot read a word on that page that's in front of you.
I don't take notes so that I can read them later. I actually just memorize everything I write down.
Smart.
I think that was like a coping mechanism in school.
Wasn't that a thing in like freshman year? It was like a requirement or our homework to go and write notes on the short notes that we did that day for the book or whatever. You like had to go write notes about your notes in order to make you remember.
In college?
High school. Freshman year.
I don't remember freshman year.
Oh, right. You like blocked out that whole part of your memory.
I don't remember so much of my life. It's either really good or kind of dangerous. If ever I get into like a security question where it's like, who's your favorite teacher in high school? I'd be like, I only like 2. So better be like one of them.
You got a 50-50 shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you talking about when they made us separate our notebooks, that it was like there was a left side and a right side, and the right side was like the main notes, and the left side you were supposed to like summarize those notes?
Yeah, it was Miss Southern.
Yeah, Miss Southern. I never did that.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I never did that. I almost, I think I consistently failed all of the like notebook check-ins that she did for us, because one time I straight up just forgot that we were doing one, and she had like a set list of things you're supposed to do, and you had to write in pen, and my handwriting is terrible in general, and then me in pen is just
it's a recipe for disaster.
It really is. I don't know how she graded me in that class, but I passed. So
yeah, I also barely passed that class, and most things in high school in general. Barely graduated high school. But yeah, no, I've been eating a lot. Tamales, burritos, all the things I can't really get easily.
Have you had menudo?
Oh yeah, for New Year's, my nana made red menudo.
Oh, wait. There's colors to menudo?
Well, there's like regular menudo, and then you can put just chili and all that kind of stuff in it, and it turns it red. So it's just a slightly spicier form of it.
Oh, okay.
But it's the best form of menudo.
Whenever I hear the word menudo, I just think of the poem you gave me in high school. Menudo, menudo, on the wall.
How I'd like to eat it all.
I would like to eat it all.
What was the rest?
I don't remember the wording, but I remember it had been thrown onto the wall and was like running down the wall. And I don't remember how you got to that point, but that's what I remember from it. It had a lot of imagery in it.
And colorful.
Imagery and color. That's a callback to a joke from high school.
Shout out to Chris Chan.
You know, I spoke to him somewhat recently, and I definitely hit him with that. It's got a lot of imagery and colorful, and I think he said to me, like, when are you going to let that go? And I said, when I die. No, I'll never let you live that one down, because that was too good.
Yeah, that has become a classic within our friend circle.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of people's full names, should we say, I asked this at the beginning of the last one. It feels weird to introduce myself. Oh, did we say I'm Joseph?
I don't think I even introduced myself on this one, because we didn't get to the day of it. We just jumped right into it.
Today's January 4th, 2020.
Yeah. I'm one half of the regular team. I'm Yazeed.
Thank goodness Yazeed is hosting. I'm Joseph, because last week was not the best.
I don't know if we can say thank goodness, because it's already up to we're in like the weeds already. We forgot like half the introduction.
It's way better than starting with fingers in his ass Sunday.
Yeah. What I thought was really funny is you did the like cut noise, the like beep sound, but you didn't cut before it, so it's just like a continuous run on of like you trying to start this thing, and then each time it was getting progressively harder to start.
Yeah. That was Zenobia's idea to add the beep, because she was just watching it all burn while everything was going wrong at the beginning. She was just looking at me like, I don't know. It's like watching a train wreck, and then she's like, "You should just add the beeps there to let people know that this isn't your fault or whatever."
Speaking of last episode, though, I do have something to point out. You've given me crap for quoting Vine in every of the episodes. Last week, you were the one who hit the Vine quote. Is all I'm saying.
What did I do? What did I
say? I don't remember which Vine you quoted, but you had a Vine quote in there. And you didn't reference the fact that it was from Vine or anything, but I caught it when I was listening.
See, I think that's my problem, is that I have a lot of things in my head and I don't know why I say them. I just reference them all the time.
I think you might have done the I Want to Be a Cowboy Vine.
I don't think I know what that is.
The one where it's like two old dudes and one of them just goes, "I want to be a cowboy, baby." And then he hops in the like old clothing line, which is like a umbrella on its side a little bit.
I don't think I've ever seen this.
All right, maybe that's not the one you've quoted. I know that I have a friend who really doesn't like that Vine. He says it's the worst Vine ever made.
How, like, do you have a whole like Vine sub community in your life that you just talk to people about?
Yeah.
Tell me about this.
So my brother my brother is actually one who got me into watching Vines.
Of course.
Because I'm going to put it on blast a little bit later too, because I think it's just a funny story, but he was watching a lot of Vines, and I used to make fun of him, but then I started to watch him ironically so I could quote it to him, but then I just really got into it, as a lot of things go.
That's how it happens.
Yeah, it is how it happens. So I just got really into watching Vines from that, and then my friend Trevor, who I work with, he also watches a lot of Vines, and so we just quote Vines to each other at work a lot and send Vines to each other.
What's your favorite Vine?
My favorite Vine is the one where okay, I have a couple, but I think my absolute favorite Vine is the one where the little girl is standing in front of like a bunch of ducks, and she goes, "Look at all those chickens," and she looks so proud of herself, and it just cracks me up. Like, because she's so happy to see all those chickens, and then they're just quacking in the background. I think that one's my all-time favorite one.
What's your least favorite Vine?
Ooh.
Like, if I was like, oh, let's spend 7 seconds watching this one, you'd be like, absolutely not.
I don't know. I think the one that I don't like the most is any of the Vines where it's just, like, I don't like uncomfortable. Like, I get uncomfortable easily, and so any of the Vines where it's, like, specifically trying to make you uncomfortable. Yeah. There's also the one where the dude just, like, starts talking randomly, and then he has, like, a bunch of just, like, cutouts of himself, and they all just say like Dick Cheney made money off the Iraq War. Oh yeah. I really don't like that one because I mean it's not funny. I get like the political message and everything, but like I'm here to turn my brain off. Right. Yeah. Like honestly, I'm here to watch people fall and laugh and say stupid things.
Yeah. And their main audience is like 9-year-olds and you. So it's kind of not the correct content or the medium to put out that content.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting wrecked already. Yeah, man. So for people who don't know, actually, I got back not too long ago. So I don't actually have any updates for home games. I haven't had a chance to get into it.
Was that the What's Up section?
That was the What's Up section.
All right. Well, I'm going to figure out how to put that music in. Don't worry. We had no gap.
I didn't know. I said this is the What's Up section.
Did I don't.
I said, "What's up, Joseph? What's happening?"
Okay. I didn't wait for the music though.
No, you went right into it. I mean, last time we waited too long and I got uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, I did that on purpose. Where did you, before we get to home game stuff, even though that's the podcast, where did you go on vacation? And how was it?
It was God, it was such a weird vacation, actually, but we went on a cruise. So we flew out of Phoenix to, I think it's called Port Canaveral on the Space Coast near Cape Canaveral in Florida. We were there for a day or 2 days. And then we took a cruise out of there. We were supposed to go to, I don't remember what island we were supposed to go to, but the seas were super rough. Like there was the day we left, Florida was being hit by a storm, and the storm just unfortunately was in the same path as we were going. And so we ended up just being followed by like storm wind, like hard winds and rain and overcast skies and like rough seas and stuff like that. But we ended up going to the Bahamas and Jamaica and Grand Cayman and what's the last place we went to? Cozumel, Mexico. And then we came back to Florida, and then some of that stuff we're not going to talk about on the podcast, but then we had to like race home from Florida. We were supposed to spend another day there. We're going to go to, I want to say Disney World was where we're supposed to go that day, like the day, and then the night, and then we're going to fly out the next day. So it was it was a lot of places we went to, but it was just like a weird vacation. I get seasick, and being on a boat that's rocking a lot, the Dramamine takes away like the edge of like I'm gonna throw up. What it doesn't do is makes you you still have the like you're still like wobbly, and when you take Dramamine, you don't have much, like you don't have great balance anymore, and so when the boat's like rocking aggressively, you're like rocking even more aggressively than the other people. So it was just an interesting time.
Did you have fun at all?
Yeah. I think the coolest thing, there's like two really cool things, and there's like a bunch of like really unfortunate things. I'll tell you unfortunate things later, but like the two cool things are in Jamaica we did a thing called I forgot the name, but it's basically what you do is you take like a bus up into this river valley, and then from that river valley you like walk up a river coming down the valley. Like you follow this river and you have to like cross the river in a couple places. Okay. And then you get up to this like final point on the like as high as they'll take you, and then you have to get back down. But in order to get back down, you jump off of cliffs into big pools of water.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was super cool. The water was ice cold though. Yeah. It was just really interesting. Like the first jump we went on, it was my mom was like right after the guide, and so the guide would wait, and then he'd basically like tell you like just jump. And my mom went up to the edge, and she was supposed to be the first person in our group to jump, and she freaked out.
Yeah.
And she made my brother jump first.
Yeah.
And he's afraid of heights. But the guide was like, he'll do this no problem. Just do what he does. And so he had to like jump like it was no big deal, even though he's so scared of heights.
Yeah.
And the first one was like scary because you didn't like I've never jumped off of something that's super high and hit water. But you go like under the water, then you pop back up, and you have to like swim because they want to send the next person off. And then the last jump, I think there's like 5 or 6 jumps like down. And it's surprisingly exhausting to like jump into water, swim, like pull your body out of the water, and then go to the next spot, and then jump to the next spot.
Yeah.
And then the last jump was the second to last jump. Was a 5-meter jump. So you jump 5 meters and you hit the water.
Yeah.
I had enough time to think to myself, like, this might hurt a little bit.
What is that, 15 feet?
It's somewhere between 15 and 20 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a long jump.
Yeah.
My mom, you're supposed to land feet first, and my mom freaked out when she was supposed to do the jump. And she tried to sit down to like prevent herself from like falling over the edge, and the tour guide just yelled at her like, "Do you want to die?" She was like, "I don't know."
Your poor mom.
Because I think what he thought she wanted to do was to like stop, crouch down, and then like spring and do like a traditional dive.
Okay.
No, like a head, like hands and head first dive. When you're supposed to land feet first, so I think he thought she was gonna die basically. So yeah, because you have to land feet first after a certain height, or it hurts a lot.
Or if you land like butt first, you can die, right?
Yeah. You can get
drown.
water up your beehole.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
It does. It was that was super just like high adrenaline, and then afterwards they take you to this. Basically, they just like get back onto the bus like sopping wet, and they take you to this like down river some more. Then you hop on these like tubes, and you just tube down the river for a little bit. Then you get all the way out. Yeah, it was super cool. The tubing part was super relaxing, but that night I was so tired. Like I was like laid out.
Yeah.
And then the other really cool one is when we were in Cozumel, my aunt and I did a tour of Tulum, which are some Mayan ruins. And so you have to go you get off the boat, you take a ferry to Playa Carmen, which is like on the Atlantic coast of Mexico. And I guess it's like a famous beach or something. And then you take a bus from there into Tulum. And we should have known that like a couple of things were going to go wrong on this tour, because the tour is scheduled for like 7.5 hours. Jeez. And so we're supposed to get back at 5, and the ship is departing at 5:30. So you're cutting it kind of close. When we got to the bus stop, like you have to like follow the like tour guides, and they take you out to the bus stop itself, and then you board your bus, and then they'll take you.
Right.
And you're supposed to grab these little snack bags, and there's like a little like gift shop / restroom that you can use out there as well. Well, we were late, like 10 minutes late departing, because one of the people in our group, her name was Nancy.
It's always Nancy.
It really was. Took 9 minutes in the bathroom. Now, I don't know about you, but like we want to get going, right? Like we're like amped up, ready to go. We just lost like 10 minutes. Well, then they take you to a tequila factory and gift shop.
Okay.
Because it's like a bunch of old people and they need to use the restrooms. It's like, okay, whatever. Nancy's late again by like 20 minutes this time. And so like, like warning signs are starting to be there and stuff like that. And then from there you go to the ruins of Tulum, and you're there for like, I think it was like 3 hours or something like that. And it's hot, and you're like sweating, and you're walking through, and the tour guide's telling you all this really interesting stuff about like the Mayans and things like that. And we're supposed to be back at the bus at like 3:25 because it's an hour drive back and forth.
Jeez.
So we get there at like 3:20.
Okay.
And I went to the gift shop and everything like that. So I had all my stuff, and we were just waiting. And like 3:30 rolls around, and the tour guide comes back and is like, "Has anyone seen Nancy?" And we're like, "No." And he's like, "Okay, we're gonna give her a couple more minutes." And the latest we could leave is 4. It's like 3:50 rolls around, and is like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know where she is. Yeah. Like, he's like, I'm gonna stay with her. I'm gonna stay here and try to find her. The thing is, like, when you do an excursion with the tour with a cruise ship, you don't have your passport or anything. So you literally only have like your wallet and whatever you had in your wallet and your cell phone, usually in like your little room's key. So she is an American citizen, I think, stuck now in Mexico with no of the official paperwork. But people were getting mad because basically we just lost all of our time back in Playa Carmen, because we were supposed to get some time in Playa Carmen to like go shopping, and like if we had swimming trunks, like we could go to the beach and stuff like that. And then we were going to take the ferry back because the last ferry leaves at 5. So he's like, okay, I'm going to give him like another 10 minutes, but then I'm going to like just stay here and you guys can go. So we leave at 4 o'clock exact, like on the dot. So then we get to, he stays. And so the bus takes us and we get to the ferry area. And when we get to the ferry area, it's late because we hit traffic and stuff like that. So it's like 5:10. The last ferry was supposed to leave at like 5.
Right.
So we're like, because the next ferry is at 6, but the ship's supposed to leave at 5:30.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, like what's going to happen here? And so when we get down, there's just another random tour guide there. I guess his tour had already gone in and everything. And so we get there and he's like, listen to me. Like, you guys got to go, okay? Right. Like, you guys got to, like, run. But he's like, don't talk to anyone. Don't try to stop. Like, just follow me. We're just going to, like, go for it. And so we just follow this long line. And then we get to, like, crosswalks and stuff. He would just shout, like, stay in the red lines. Stay in the red lines. Stay in the red lines. Don't go on the yellow. Stay in the red lines. And, like, drill sergeant. Yeah, it was like we're walking across and, like, these cars had to stop, like, this whole busload of people trying to cross, like, 1 or 2 at a time. And we get to the ferry spot and it's 5:10 at this point. So the ferry should have already left, but the ferry's still there. So we get in, we get onto the ferry. Everyone's on the ferry, but they aren't closing the doors yet, which is kind of weird. You'd think the ferry would want to like get going. The ferry leaves at 5:30. So at this point, we're kind of panicking because we have no idea whether the ship's still there or not.
Right.
And then at 5:35, Nancy walks in the door.
Oh my God.
I was like, are you serious? Like, you made it? You old son of a gun. You actually made it onto this boat. What happened to you? But I didn't ask anything. And so anyway, the boat we get to the the docking area at 6 o'clock. So we're supposed to have been already underway for 30 minutes at this point.
Yeah.
And the boat's just waiting. When we get there, it's literally just like 2 employees just standing out there, and they're just like, go. Just go. Like, we're not even going to check anything. Just like get on this boat. And so we get onto the boat, and the boat leaves at like 7 o'clock. So it's like a whole hour and a half late.
Crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. On one hand, I'm like glad Nancy made it. On the other hand, a part of me is like, should just left her.
Yeah.
Like because the thing is that they give you activity levels, like difficulty levels for it. And that was supposed to be level 2.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty fit person. Like I walk, I hike, I run, I do stuff like that.
I've seen you do it.
Yeah. I mean, like, and you know, I was sweating. Like I was dripping sweat because I was hot. They told us like, oh, it's cold for December here. And it was like 80 degrees and like 90% humidity home. Like I was just like dying. Yeah. No clouds in the sky or anything. And just like an old lady who can't really walk. And she made it back. Piece of garbage.
Wow.
Yeah, those are like 2 really cool stories. Like, we almost got left by a cruise ship in Mexico, and I had no paperwork to prove my U.S. citizenship.
Yeah, and you have that look where it's like, where is he from? U.S. citizen.
Yeah, all I had with me at the time was like I had 2 credit cards and my debit card, and my room's key to the ship, and then my driver's license, and that was it. Yeah. And I don't think your driver's license is enough to cross the border.
I don't think so. I think you need a passport.
And the border is far away because we're on the Yucatan Peninsula.
Yeah.
Like, that's all of Mexico I'd have to traverse.
Yeah, like it's not Nogales or wherever. It's like real Mexico.
It's like real Mexico. out in the jungles of the Yucatan. It was really interesting. Just like imagine getting stuck there and not knowing like, what if we are actually stuck out here?
Right.
Because compared to the cruise ship, which was like 6,000 people or something like that, it's only like 20 or 30 of us on this bus. Like they could have easily been like, it's less than 1%.
It's a rounding error.
It's a rounding error. Maybe they just wanted to stay and they just dip. Yeah. So that was interesting and kind of stressful, but super. I felt like I learned a lot about like Mayan stuff and just Native American stuff in general.
Nice. Yeah.
And then the Jamaica stuff was so high energy. Yeah. That night I slept really well too. Both those nights I was just laid out. Yeah, sure. I guess we walked like 7 miles on the Tulum day. Yeah. If anyone ever tells you anything about how garbage cruises are, all I'm going to say is that it's the people who are taking those cruises that are garbage. Yeah. Because you can choose to just sit on the cruise ship and drink all day and eat burgers by the plateful, or you can really like get out there and do stuff.
Yeah. Cruises. I mean, I've been on 1 cruise in my life, and it was with you and everybody else, but it was It was awesome. Like, I really enjoyed it. The only thing that was terrifying was when it was nighttime and we would go out on the boat and look around, and it's like there's nothing out here.
Oh, dude. On this cruise ship, they had I don't know how to describe it. It's like an obstacle course, but it's elevated above the top deck of the ship.
Okay.
And so you've got like a 10 or probably like 10 foot between you and like these platforms, and you have to like navigate this obstacle course, and you have like this harness, kind of like a rock climbing harness that's like hooked up, and you have to like navigate all these things. But one of the things on there is a thing called like walking the plank, which is basically just this like plank of wood that extends over the side of the ship. And when you walk out over it and you look down, it's like that's a straight drop directly into the sea. There's not even ship below you, and
there's nothing to like catch you if you were to fall off.
No, the only thing is the rope. It's like the attachment from you,
like a harness.
Yeah, it's like the harness is attached to like a support structure ahead of it, like on over your head. So if you fall, it's gonna like catch you and hold you up, but you still have to now like pull yourself up onto this small plank of wood. I was too scared to turn back around on there. I'm pretty like fearless usually, but like I went out to the edge, and then I was like, Jesus Christ, and then I backed out because I popped Dramamine right before I did that thing. Yeah. So like midway through, I realized like, oh, my balance is like gone.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
And the wind started to pick up too. It was really interesting. I didn't do so many of the things I usually do on a cruise ship though. I didn't really nap. I didn't really read, and I also didn't explore the ship in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Maybe it's for the best.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, man, it was a good time. I really do enjoy traveling and getting to see some parts of the world.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm the opposite of you. I don't want to go anywhere. Don't have a passport.
Before you get married, we should go somewhere. We should go to Japan.
We should actually do the Japan trip.
Yeah, we should do the Japan trip.
We were planning for decades.
Yeah, no kidding. We should do it because sorry.
If everything goes to plan, and it might not because life is hard and scheduling things and planning things is hard, but we'll be getting married April next year.
Very nice.
So for 2021.
Hell yeah.
So we have some time, and Zenobia keeps telling me to get a passport, so I think I have to get a passport.
You should.
Yeah, the name on my identification doesn't match the name on my birth certificate, and that's going to give me some trouble when I get a passport.
Yeah, it might.
Yeah, whatever. I'll just smile and be nice. They'll be fine.
Yeah, surprisingly, like immigration is so much nicer than TSA.
I believe that because I don't know, whatever. I was born here. I don't know anything.
Yeah. I was also born here, but whenever I'm coming back to the States, one of my favorite things, it's like such a minor thing, but I really look forward to it, is that in the airports, when you're coming back in, you have to go to the immigration official and you hand them like your passport and everything. They look over your documentation. They say to you when you're a U.S. citizen, they say, welcome home. And it's such like a little thing, but it's something I've always looked forward to after the first time that somebody said that to me. It's like, it's like a weird thing, but like U.S. is home. Like coming back to the U.S. feels so nice.
Yeah.
Like I really like traveling, being in other countries, seeing other things, but like coming home feels good.
Yeah. Yeah. America's great. When we did the cruise, we came back the first time, and it was like, we were just in Mexico for a couple of days, but then going back through all that stuff and just seeing like the flag.
Yeah.
I was like, heck yeah, we're back.
Yeah.
And like me and Snowy were talking about this relatively recently, about how once you start to leave your home more, your idea of what home is starts to grow. Mm-hmm. So like when we moved to Seattle, home went from Tucson to Arizona. It used to be like, I hate Phoenix. I still hate Phoenix. It's the worst city on earth. But I would be like, oh, well, Tucson is home. And once I'm past like, whatever certain sign or highway exit, I'm home. But now it's like we've crossed into Arizona and we're home. That kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like when you travel a little more internationally, just getting back into literally any U.S. airport, even though the U.S. airports are kind of garbo in comparison to some of the other ones, it's just such a weirdly nice feeling because everyone there is like, is an American. Yeah. They have similar way of like talking and like behaving and stuff like that, and it's, I don't know,
everyone's got a Big Mac in one hand and a gun in the other.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. People are packing heat. No, I don't know what it is. It's just, it's such like, it's a bunch of like minor differences in like the way Americans behave versus like other people.
Yeah.
But something really reassuring to get back stateside.
Yeah.
So coming back stateside, being on dry land was really nice too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because that was the first time really that I wasn't in on a rocking boat. Dude, the ferry was hard. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you, because of the timing on when we got onto the cruise ship, I only took my Dramamine at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And since you can only take so much Dramamine in a 24-hour period, I'd have to take it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And for the Tulum trip, we weren't on the ship and I had no Dramamine with me. So I had to ride the ferry back at like 6 o'clock in the afternoon. This ferry was like booking it to try to get us back. And I had no Dramamine and I get so seasick. And I was really just trying to hold it together. I was like, I'm going to puke on this ship.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing these people want. I know it's the last thing.
At least you're not a Nancy.
No. Oh. Goddamn, Nancy. You know you can't walk straight. Why are you on a difficult thing, okay? I'm like a 20-something-year-old man. I'm like struggling on some of this stuff. And you're like 100 years old with a cane. You have a cane.
I'm kind of surprised she made it. That sounds impressive.
Alone.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. She was a solo traveler.
Wow.
No one with her.
That's brave.
As far as I know, speaks no Spanish.
Yeah.
When I was at the gift shop, the dude, I asked them, like, went up to the register and they said something to me in Spanish, and I was like, I don't know any Spanish, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then the lady in kind of broken English was like, you gotta go around the corner, this is the pharmacy only.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. I don't know how she managed.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I look brown.
Yeah.
So there's like some like...
But you're full American. You don't know a word of the language they speak wherever you go.
No, I know uno, dos, tres. I know how to count a little bit. Let's see here.
Yeah, you just did 3. That was pretty good.
Thank you.
How do you say shut the door?
I don't know any of those words.
That's okay.
I know how to say I know how to say de nada and gracias.
There you go.
Hola.
Mr. Polite over here. He can count to 3 and tell you thank you afterwards.
Yeah. When I was hiking out here too, a little old Spanish grandmother asked me about that. She spoke to me in Spanish, and I was like, I don't speak Spanish, I'm sorry. Yeah. And then her granddaughter was like, she wants to know if you like went all the way out there and you're coming back. And I was like,
Yeah, how do you get that often? Because you're brown in Tucson and people think you're...
That's the only time. Oh, actually, and Walmart. Walmart, they say hola to me. And I don't know why, but it really bothers me. It only bothers me when Walmart does it. If some little old lady speaks to me in Spanish, I'm totally like, hey, it's like, I don't speak any Spanish and I'm sorry. Like, I wish I could speak some Spanish for you and like understand, like converse with you. When I walk into Walmart and you say hola to me because I'm brown, there's some extent of that is like, that's a little racist. That's a little racist, dude. Like, you should just say hello to me or confirm something about me. Like, what am I wearing? It's like, usually I'm just wearing like jeans, like a t-shirt. Like, I'm nondescript. You don't know. So just go ahead and like, hello.
Just wear like a full flag print t-shirt and like a made in USA across your butt. And then when you walk in, they say hola, just be like, speak English. This is America.
Yeah. Oh my God. Funny story about that. When we were in, we were in Turkey, and it was literally like a couple weeks before we got into Turkey. The U.S. State Department was like, do not go to Turkey if you're a U.S. citizen. If you get arrested in Turkey, the consulate will not help you. That's what they said. They're like, because we are putting out an advisory against going to Turkey. Well, the cruise ship we were on went to Turkey.
Right.
My brother that day decided, I'm an American citizen. I'm going to wear a tank top with just the America flag printed on it and the word just like America on his like midriff. And it just huge, like basically it was just like, I am America, basically. And it was so funny. And then we were walking around in there and we ended up getting turned around a little bit, and we walked right by a police station. And on that police station, there's a big sign in a bunch of different languages. And the English one says, we can arrest and detain you for any reason. And the police officer was just staring at my brother as he walked down, like staring him down. Yeah. And I was like, this idiot is going to get himself thrown in a Turkish prison, and the consulate isn't going to help him.
My goodness. Maybe they were like, well, maybe he's being ironic. Maybe he hates America and he's making fun of Americans.
Interestingly, I bought my leather jacket there, and the dude asked me, are you American? And I was going to say, yeah. And my grandmother's sister was there, and she's from South Africa. And she said, no, we're from South Africa. And he was like, good, I hate Americans. I'll give you a 10% discount for not being American.
Yeah, I love this country where we can arrest and detain you for any reason. It's better than... Anyway.
Yeah, it was traveling is always a little interesting, especially when you go into like some countries that may or may not like America.
Yeah, basically, anything.
Yeah.
Anything that's not Europe.
Yeah, I mean, part of Europe, like Italy, they don't speak any English really. They don't really want to, as far as I can tell. So it was that place was interesting there too, like just trying to navigate stuff when no one almost like no one we ran into spoke English, or like maybe they did speak or understand English, but they didn't speak it back. Yeah. So it's interesting. Yeah, I really do enjoy traveling, but I've been really lucky to be able to do that. But I know that's a lot of something like most people don't get to do.
The summary of that is a USA chant.
A USA chant, yeah. USA. Yeah.
Oh, nice. I'm glad you made it back and that you didn't...
I didn't die.
That Nancy didn't kill you.
Goddamn Nancy. You almost gonna get stuck in Mexico. So far into Mexico. Anyway, home games.
Home games stuff.
Yeah.
Then I leave like 3 seconds. It's playing right now. And now it's over.
Okay.
I gave you your t-shirt.
You did.
Sorry it wasn't quite a surprise, but what do you think?
No, I'm super stoked for it, man. I told you I would absolutely wear a Home Games t-shirt. I know I'm holding this up as if there's a camera, but I know there isn't a camera. But I'm super stoked for this, man. I'm super stoked.
I think Alex did the same thing on the last one. He said I'm holding it up for the microphone to see.
I forgot that he did, but he did. He did. No, I'm super stoked, man. What made you want to get us t-shirts?
I think I was looking for Christmas gifts for people and realized I really don't like the gift giving holidays. Like I like holidays themselves, but there's just this crazy pressure to give gifts and make them good and all that kind of stuff. And when there's like 20 people on your list, it's just a ton of work. And I think it stresses me out. So I was thinking, what if I just did something like where I just made a whole batch of t-shirts for friends and family with this thing on them, and that'll be the gift. You know, like it'll be the thing. Me being me, I still bought most people gifts in addition to that because that's just what I do.
Yeah.
But I bought a bunch of shirts and I thought it'd be a cool way to surprise Synovia since she designed that logo and, you know, something for her family or whatever. Basically, everybody in my immediate family has a shirt. All of my close friends have shirts. I'm out of shirts, by the way. I got 30. And I don't know. I was trying to do, it's just a simple logo and then our URL at the bottom or like just below the logo. Originally, it was going to be the URL on the back. But if every side of the shirt I printed on added a pretty significant cost to the whole order. So I saved like $150 by not putting the URL on the back. And that was cool. I also got them on American Apparel t-shirts because USA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to see how that whole thing would go. And I think having people wearing it on them makes me like, it's kind of like the podcast, but more, it's like pressure. You have to do this thing. My Tia's wearing a shirt with my logo on it. I can't like be a bum now. You know what I mean? And like even my Tia, she posted, I think she made an Instagram and her first Instagram post was, "This is my nephew's startup." And I was like, oh, wow, this is not a startup. But thank you. That whole kind of thing. And I don't know. I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. I think those are the only ones I'll make for the time being, at least. I think the only time I'll ever make more is if we have people who want to buy them.
Patreon.
Or we have some sort of thing like that. But I'm not really concerned about that stuff quite yet. Yeah. So, yeah, I just wanted to make the shirts. I'm wearing mine underneath this. Oh, God, hold on. Yeah, see? Representing.
Oh, representing.
But yeah, I have a whole inventory list on my phone of who got shirts, and because I had to like keep track of them. I just had this giant box of 30 shirts in my mom's house when I got back. And anyway, trying to figure all that stuff out. But I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know. I wanted to talk about shirts. That was one of my bullet point things. No one listening to this can get one. Sorry. And then another thing, let me just go through this list really quick because I took notes in Vim like we mentioned before. I have a whole bunch of home games things, but I think it might be better for us, like for me to show you this stuff first.
Yeah. Because
the changes, there are many. So we'll record this, but I'll probably end up cutting a lot without internet. See how this works. So now I have this kind of, like I mentioned before, it's a dashboard. I've got my name here, and I can change my name in the top left.
Ooh.
So I make my name this, and then if I go to this game, I think this will take my name with me. Oh, here's another thing. Anyway, I don't think what I'm going to show you works anyway. So now instead of just having the sessions go down in this like list underneath, I have this kind of modal coming up where you can create a session for the thing and it'll bring you into it, however, and you can go home and all that kind of stuff. I made this game Clictionary, which I think I mentioned it last week, but this is my favorite thing that I've built so far. It's just, gives you the word up top. Sheep. I'm drawing sheep, and over here this person can see this session and join it, and so they don't see the word.
Ooh.
But all this kind of stuff. I made this. I tweeted about this, but I made this during I was watching The Irishman. I had already kind of seen most of it, so my mom put it on when I was at home, and so it was just kind of on, and I wasn't paying super attention. It's a 3.5-hour movie. So I started and finished this entire game before that was finished.
Nice, dude.
Which I think was cool because this was like kind of from scratch, and I actually was making it because I was going to a party that night, and I wanted to show somebody something. Because at that point I had already announced home games on Facebook, which, by the way, I did that. No one listening to this knows. Anyway, I showed it to like family and friends and all that kind of stuff. That's why I gave everybody t-shirts. So... yeah, I don't know. I think just getting this working quickly is kind of a whole proof that this thing works, is that I can make something quickly and play it with friends. And anyway, that whole thing. But the dashboard works. The home button, at least in the draw game, works. And all that kind of stuff. I improved efficiency for the asset creation stuff. Like here, there are 2 images. And this default image is referenced multiple times as opposed to each image being a copy of the thing. So I noticed last week when I was showing this to everybody, and on JC's phone, he's got an Android phone, which, so it was running a little kind of clunky. And I realized it's because there is a 4.4 megabyte download going across for the asset bundle on the initial startup, which was taking way too long to load on some devices. So he would go to homegames.link and see a white page for a while. So in order to fix that, I did this optimization. So now it's like 600K instead of 4.4 megs.
Ooh, very nice.
So that's cool. I think I can also shrink down these images to the actual size they're rendered at instead of shrinking them down. So that way you can save even more on the initial load. Anyway, all that kind of stuff. But this dashboard works. I have ideas for what I want to do on top of this. But essentially, it's dashboard. I have a whole pull request, which you might have seen, and I self-reviewed it with a bunch of comments about how all my code is trash. And I really believe that. Going through all this stuff and trying to clean it up, I spent some time. I really hate the way that game session to squisher to game is structured, how they all know about each other, even though they don't. Like a game just knows it has .players type stuff. I don't like that. So I tried to restructure it, but I think I don't have a clear idea of how I want to do that. And so I'm kind of putting that off for later. And like I was mentioning before we started recording, feature creep. I am terrible with that stuff, and I'll just keep thinking of ideas and adding to it and making the PR even larger, even though it's not even in directly dashboard stuff anymore. So I think at this point, I'll put up a PR that does this and it has cleaner code than we have in that PR now. And everything that I don't resolve, I'll make an issue for on GitHub. I also started making some more GitHub issues. So things like, I have this whole list of notes. We can kind of go through them, but I think it's probably too many to talk on this one episode. So, yeah, I guess, do you have any questions or comments about what I'm showing you so far, or should I just?
I mean, that's super cool, man. Like, it's something we talk about for a long time. Is getting a nice dashboard up and be able to jump back and forth, and then changing player names. Like, that's a lot of stuff that, like, wish list stuff that we really wanted to get done.
Yeah,
you got done in a really short time.
Yeah, I think the fact that I also kind of abstracted out the session creation stuff, so it's kind of just one thing that can create an actual socket session and have players, because before it was 2, and that was just causing a lot of issues when I was doing, like I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I had a race condition And the problem was on the web client, we have window.requestAnimationFrame, which is just, hey, browser, render this as fast as you can, and then it calls itself recursively. So at the end of requestAnimationFrame, it'll do it again and again and again with whatever its current buffer is that it received from the socket. The problem was that the message that I was sending over to the client from the game server to say, hey, here's the new game port to connect to, would sometimes go and be set to the current buffer. And if the request animation frame function was called while that message was the current buffer, it would try to render a socket info message and die, but keep calling itself forever. So then it would crash the whole browser. And I spent 3 days figuring that out. I was trying all these different things to test it and try to whatever. And it was manual testing because, that's how I do. I was thinking, wow, a unit test might be nice here. Anyway, so it took me a while to figure that out, and the actual deliverable for that fix was a 1-line code change just to check the type of the message being rendered before actually trying to render. Anyway, that was that bug fix. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the socket connection stuff. And so that stuff seems pretty stable now, switching between sockets and talking to different servers. Also now each server that you start up, you'll notice, so the dashboard is kind of the main server. And it will create child servers with the fork process, like the fork module or whatever in Node. So it actually starts up a whole separate Node process. Ooh. So it has its own event loop and all that kind of stuff. So it actually has its own process. And my head's all over the place. And so anyway, it has its own thing, and it'll constantly check if it needs to kill itself. Because the main server, if you shut it down, and the other, if it crashes for some reason, if an exception is raised and then the main process shuts down, the child servers will still be active and kind of doing whatever, but no one can actually access them. So they're just zombie processes, kind of. Mm-hmm. So I implemented this thing where there's basically a heartbeat from the main server to each of its children, process, send message, whatever. And the child will on some interval check when the last heartbeat was, and it'll also check how many players are in it. And if it doesn't have any players, and if it doesn't have a recent heartbeat, it'll kill itself. So, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So generally that's how the child processes work, and they're all just running the same games that we had before, back when it was just way back in the day, 3 weeks ago, when it was just one main game running in your server. So yeah, that's how the child stuff works. I don't know if you saw, I also added metadata. So I added kind of a static metadata property to all of the game classes. And I've never really done classes and all that in JS before, because it's just everything's an object, everything's a function. Why do a class? But kind of trying out this whole thing, and you can access actually keyword static functions or methods, I suppose, on your classes, and access those by instance.constructor.method. Ooh. So it's this.game.constructor.metadata. Not great, but whatever. And from there, the dashboard is saying, okay, well, here's your thumbnail. If you haven't provided a thumbnail, we have a default. If you don't have a name that you've given for the author, then it's unknown author. So it has some defaults, whatever, but you can optionally put your metadata there for us to render and kind of give credit to people and, whatever other kind of stuff there. And then I also did resolution. So in that metadata, you set your target resolution, and your client will get that resolution on the initial handshake when talking to the game. And the game, when it sends the ready message for the game to start sending you stuff, that game will send you its target resolution. So then the client knows how to scale that to its own screen, and will actually let games have different target resolutions. So something can be 1080p versus 480p or whatever.
So we really can make old school Frogger in 8-bit.
I don't know what I'm doing. So I think it won't do different aspect ratios. I think it'll still try to fit everything to the width of the screen that it's on. So I don't know what'll happen if you give it a 4x3 thing.
Only one way to find out. Right?
Let me just go through this. Raise condition. Oh, I had a thing here for Async API. So I was thinking there needs to be a way for the master server to request things from its children. Like, hey, what players are in your game right now? Because it's a completely separate process. It doesn't have access to its memory or whatever. It just, so I was thinking I need to have some sort of actual API for a server to talk to other servers and say, hey, give me your player list. Give me your state. I don't know. I'm trying to think of, in general, we might need this.
Yeah.
So I started implementing this. It's an async API for them to talk. So it's like get players, for example, will have a request ID. It'll store it in a map. It'll be like, okay, well, here are like all my pending requests. This request ID, whatever, send off to the child. The child will send me a response referencing that request ID that I gave it. I'll then look in my map for callbacks for that request ID and then call the function.
Yeah. I mean, I think we would need it anyway, just from like a dashboard perspective, right? Because the dashboard needs to be updated with how are people, because then we could mark down like, yo, people are playing this game. So you don't need to like sift through all of these games to figure out what people are playing. Like it's just like highlights in like green or whatever. Yeah,
that was actually one of the ideas. I was talking to my mom this morning about what made sense from a UI perspective for that. And, you know, say we have 100 games on home games and only 4 of them have active sessions. We should probably have a thing on the top, like a highlight of here are games with active sessions right now. Or it's just, you go to homegames.link, it shows you not even games, just sessions, like session, and this is the game it is. So you just click once and you're in it. Otherwise, you can go and scroll through the list and try to find your thing or however you do.
Yeah, and I mean the dashboard is a game node in itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
So then it would update. We could have it update as people move between sessions and stuff like that. So you always have a list of what people are actually playing.
It does. The reason I have a question mark next to this is because the game server is currently the one saying, hey, player to game. It is currently the only entry point for a player to a server. But just kind of thinking long run, if we were to ever change that, we would need to have the communication. So as of right now, we don't need an API for the main one to ask questions of its children because it knows it put a player in this, it put a player in this. This has this many players. It can kind of keep its own inventory, but I don't like that. So
can it though?
Yeah, because of a player, because the home games dashboard is the one saying to a player, move to this server.
Right, but then like say your browser crashes, the main thing wouldn't know.
It wouldn't. Oh, you're right. It wouldn't know when they leave.
Yeah.
It would have to.
You have to send it from the game itself, like the server itself, to the dashboard, whether somebody's in there or not.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we do need this API. So I can remove this question mark, change it to an exclamation point.
That's what the podcast for.
There you go. For me,
talk about the big stuff.
Bug fix. I talked about metadata. I talked about UI for game selection. So. Like I mentioned, we should probably have a thing at the top for active sessions. But what about when we have too many games to render in one screen? We have to have a scroll of some sort. But we don't have native scrolling. It's all rendered in a node server. It doesn't know what a scroll is.
Ooh.
So we can probably send the scroll like mouse whatever event, if there is one, I don't know, from the browser for that. But I don't really know how we're going to handle that in a general, I don't know. So I'm thinking we might need a button as well. Just a simple scroll bar button with an up arrow and a top and a bottom arrow for you to kind of move down and up in the dashboard. But another thing that'll do, because this is all a game node, like you mentioned, the home games dashboard is a game, kind of. It just knows it and does more than most games do. The problem there is that if I want to have your version of the menu and my version of the menu, every single menu option that's there today needs to have the player ID. Basically, instead of having one option per game, it's one option per game per player.
Yeah.
And it kind of blows up the message payloads being sent through. But as long as we don't have 30 people in the dashboard at once, I don't think it should give you much of a performance hit.
At what point do you think it would?
I'm throwing 30 out because I have no clue. I just know that it doesn't perform well once there's maybe 300 game nodes on screen.
Okay, so mean, at that point, it's just that's just the number of players times the number of games available.
Yeah, and
I think we're gonna run into something because if we have like 100 games, now you can only have like 3 players.
I don't think we hit 100 games before fixing performance.
Probably not.
And if we do, then we can kind of find a clear bottleneck of like, okay, how do we fix this thing? Because currently, like I mentioned, I think the code is very messy right now, and it's hard to drill into things like that. Yeah. And so, I think if that becomes a problem, we'll be able to fix it. You know what I mean?
I agree. And I also have like I agree that also you don't want to like pre-optimize when we don't know what needs to be optimized yet.
Right.
Because I mean, like there's always going to be things to optimize, but the question is like, what's going to give us our best return on investment kind of on optimization?
Let me ask you, what do you think is a return on investment?
For us?
Yeah. I mean,
just getting something completed in a reasonable time period given how much time we have per week, right?
But I can go and add a button to add the home button or whatever to every single node or to every single master node or whatever. What, like you say return, these are all investments. Like we're our only customers really.
Right.
And we have stuff to talk about on this podcast.
When I said investment, it's more like the investment of resources. So like that's basically like how much time you and I are putting into it.
But return, I guess.
I mean, the return is just how close are we to being happy with the product, right? That's the end goal. So like, I guess the return on any individual like week's worth of investment and work we're putting in is just like, did we get closer to finishing the product, or are we just
messing around?
Yeah. Because I mean, like we can just sit around and try to optimize what we have right now, but I mean, we've both talked about like quite a bit of it's probably going to just change just from other things needing it to not function like it is right now. Or not to not function like it is. We're just going to need like bits and pieces to get change, and over time that's going to change like the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I think within the next couple months, I will likely rewrite the game session, squisher, and game classes. And from there, I can kind of modify all the existing games because there's not that many of them to abide by that new structure. Mm-hmm. And hopefully that's a way that's like unit testable, and we can talk about your Mocha stuff or whatever once we get more of that going. But kind of getting everything correct. And I also did a performance test. I made a performance test game that will fill up the screen with game nodes one by one in a grid of 1,000, 10,000, something. And you can see it get slower on every row. What were we talking about? Oh, anyway, I was just saying there are performance problems. I know, for example, the update right now on the squisher, like the squisher will listen to updates for a node and then say, okay, well, I'll just update the entirety of game state from the root, which is super inefficient because when it does that, it sends out the entirety of its games, of like its board or whatever, its tree, on every update. So like on that performance test, instead of coming in 1 dot per update, it's actually 1 dot, redo the entire array of game stuff, and then send out the entirety of it to every client. That's something we can fix. That's just one of those like big brain time moment things where I have to go and like design hardcore data algorithm stuff and fix it.
So actually, I wonder if we're going to run into a similar problem, because I think I told you this too, but React is a similar issue where they re-render the whole DOM tree, and you have to have, they basically put in, they have like a soft, like, I don't know how to explain it. Basically, they like, the way they do it is that if they have a holistic method of saying like, you may or may not need to like re-render this, and then they err on re-rendering it. So I think we might want to like follow a similar path. So the problem is that we're going to run into a similar issue because we're also using a tree structure, and we don't want to re-render the whole tree each time. So we want to only change what needs to be changed. So the question is like, well, what changed? And so you have to now either have a way of guaranteeing what changed or a soft guarantee of what's changed, right? Like you kind of like do some guesswork. But I think like it's actually quite memory intensive to figure out what, like if something is for sure changed on a tree. If what I'm remembering is correct. It's been a while since I read the React documentation. Like it's been like at least a year. So,
we'll just put it on like a super quantum computer. It'll be fine. Yeah,
we're gonna. That's one of the video games have like the prerequisites for this game.
System requirements.
Yeah, it's gonna be like one of the system requirements, like hilariously strong computer.
64 gigs memory, a 2080 Ti. Yeah, no, I think we'll figure it out eventually, and I think it's not hurting us right now. And so if we're thinking about, I think I said early on was like, we're not making Geometry Wars, we're not making 4-player local co-op with 5,000 enemies on the screen. Each of them has their own like particles and all that kind of stuff coming off of them. So we don't need something crazy intense. At the end of the day, it's mostly going to be boxes with text and maybe images and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not super worried because the whole point is simplicity.
Yeah.
And maybe eventually we'll realize that we can do something crazier, but right now it's kind of whatever.
Yeah.
I think I don't know what I want to do right now. Kind of thinking about what we have, and I think I just want to keep building new games because I think, like I said, Clictionary was fun to build. But I was talking to Synovia, she's like, you should stop. Like, you should stop making new games and just improve what you have because this looks bad, this runs bad, blah, blah, blah. Not being harsh or whatever. She just said, this is not great for someone like me. And that's valuable. So I think I have ideas of what I want to do, but in terms of what to focus on and prioritizing stuff, like you said, what's the best return on investment for me and what I'm doing with my time, I think I just want to have fun with it. And I think now I'm realizing that I can't just keep building things willy-nilly and I have to think about things. I just don't like that. So I'll do it.
I would say, it would be a great tool is a blog because then you could write down all your thoughts and then people can read them and I can read them. And it would also give you time to really think out what you're trying to write.
Yeah, maybe.
Because, when you have it in your head, it's going to be a mishmash of like ideas and stuff.
That's all, like me talking on the podcast and me talking in general is I just open my mouth and I'm just like, okay, let the brain go.
Brain dump it all. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things that's like it forces you to put into like contiguous thought, but in written forms, it's like take time to think.
I'm not a good writer. Maybe that'll be a good thing too. But I don't know. I think we've made such crazy progress, especially over the past like 6 months or so in this thing. Really, especially over the past 3 months. That it's hard for me to take a look at it and be like, okay, now I can work on something that's kind of auxiliary or whatever, outside of this thing. I don't even know if that's the word.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. Auxiliary.
It's like related, but not, tangentially related. That's another one.
Related.
That's math boy stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, the last little bullet point I had for the dashboard was maintaining player info between sessions. So this is actually a hack that I had that caused Pico de Gallo to break yesterday. All the multiplayer stuff broke because I was setting player IDs incorrectly. But they're all different servers. So when the player connects, it's connecting to a new server, and that server just sees it as a new person. It has a new socket connection, a new ID on that connection, a new everything. So your name won't persist between games, for example. So I'm thinking currently the way I can do it is just on the initial connect to the game server. The game server will send you a message that says, here's your ID and here's your name. And if someone were, for example, to change their name on any of these games, it would allow it. Or I don't know how I want to do that. I don't know where you would change your name. Because not a game should... Anyway, if you change your name, then it just sends you the same thing. Here's your updated name. And so on the connect, instead of just ready, which is what it sends currently, it would be ready, maybe in a JSON message. The message type is ready, and it has some payload. Here's my ID, so reuse this ID. Here's my name, reuse this name, instead of allocating a new one.
I do like that. I was going to say, is there not a way that the player's version stores their name and ID and the server itself just stores their ID?
It would, but the thing is that data has to be sent to the other servers.
Right, that's... the IDs need to be sent to the other servers, right?
So you're saying having like a server-wide database with ID to name, like player info is server agnostic?
Yeah. I wonder if that's a better approach, because then the name itself can get changed by a player, and it doesn't really matter. And the server just gets the update of like, this name changed, and it'll just change the name for that ID. And then the server just tracks the IDs, because that's really all it cares about. It doesn't care about the names.
I was thinking about that, and that would be like a microservice within home games. It would be
it's
like
basically
the name
Redis
service
at that point. Yeah.
It would still be another, and it would be like an API to talk from one server to another to say, here's ID, what is name, here's whatever. I don't know.
I don't know if that's a better solution. That was just something I was thinking about.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't think I really have any idea what I'm doing. I had a bit of a breakdown last week. I think it was after episode 10. It was like, I even tweeted about it, and it's my pinned tweet because I feel it to this day. I feel it, but we're however many episodes into the podcast. This is going to be the 12th one we record, and I've written thousands of lines over a year and a half. And I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, I have no idea. So I think I just need to kind of do something that's not, throwing code and getting mad that it sucks at this thing. So still something home games related, but
I wonder if maybe you should take a step back and start to really think about how you want the players, game nodes, squisher, like how that should all connect. So instead of writing the code, just like really sitting down and like getting that architecture not nailed down, but just like, honestly, even if you explained how it's all connected now, that would probably give us some insight on like how we want it to be connected later.
That's actually something I didn't have in my notes, but I did. I mentioned, I think a couple weeks ago, how I don't have internet in here. Anyway,
would you like internet?
No, it's all good. Okay. I did some very basic diagrams. So
you did say you wanted to.
Yeah, so I finished those. I have a homegames.link one, and I have a home games one. So it'll show player to session to squisher to game, and it's kind of input, state update, and then state broadcast. It's just like a very simple one arrow up, one arrow down type thing. And that did kind of help in a certain way, but at the same time, I see it and I'm like, oh, there's a backwards arrow coming back through here, and this actually should be inside of this blob, but then this is kind of separate, making me realize that it's all a mess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I've spent a lot of this vacation viewing it as home games work time, and that's kind of messed me up a little bit. So I think I'll focus on something like that over the next week or so.
More like the architectural questions that we have.
Yeah. And then I had just a couple more things. One of them is data stuff. So like I mentioned previously, but Alex wanted some sort of API for the client to be able to create assets, create images and sound. And I got that working, kind of hacked it together, like I said, hacked everything and made it all go quick and all that kind of stuff. And it worked as long as the image was less than a meg. If it was over a meg, it crashed the entire thing. And that was kind of wild to me. I don't understand much about anything really. So that was weird. Because it performs great, but then once it hits that thing, it might be some sort of configuration limit on the socket itself.
But I think it has to do with some configuration settings, both on node and probably the socket and a couple other things.
Like on the client itself?
Yeah. Yeah. I know there's also a browser limit, but at a certain point your browser will crash.
Well, I don't see anybody. That's kind of the beauty of this too, is that it's all running on someone's local network. So if someone wants to upload a 3 gigabyte file and crash their whole thing, it's like, that's on you, bud. But I don't see people uploading anything more than 10 megs or whatever.
I don't think so either.
And another thing, so that's kind of sending a file. That is me, for example, taking a picture and then sending off that one giant blob of data off as an image. But that wouldn't allow for something like streaming video. Like if I wanted to have a camera open in the game, that's streaming. And that's a whole other thing, because if I want that to be fast, think about it. We're sitting next to each other. If there's any delay in the audio that we're hearing or the video, whatever, any noticeable delay, we're like, this sucks. So getting efficient streaming through the thing, like, I think just thinking about something like a walkie-talkie. If you wanted to build a walkie-talkie PSC, you would need streaming.
You would.
Unless you want to have this kind of, over, and then it sends off the entire blob at once. But I don't like that.
Yeah, I guess it kind of depends on like what game you're playing, right?
Yeah, and I think I want to give the option for both.
Yeah.
So in the long run, I don't really know what that looks like, but we'll have to support both. Just wanted to kind of mention that here. And my last home games thing was something I thought about from a user experience perspective. And I think we're going to need this in the long run. So the way that the clients are today, they're dumb. They don't know anything that's on the screen. They just send clicks. The game server decides what that clicked on. But if you think about on a browser, if you hover over a link, your mouse changes because it's a link. You can click it. If we wanted to have that on the home games client, the client would need to know the same kind of this is clickable, this starts here, and this ends here logic, which we could do by having some sort of encoded node type, text versus clickable versus image versus whatever. And the client would then know this is this type of thing. And in the near term, that would give us something like the client can hover over something and know when something can be clicked on a desktop with a mouse, right? But on a phone or whatever, they don't have that. But the reason I think it's necessary in the long run is that eventually, if we're going to have something like a text box and that person clicks on the text box, the client has to know to prompt a keyboard.
Yeah, that's true.
And so it needs to know the type of something on a very basic level. Click here, do this. Click here, do this. And then send off that input so that the thing can know. The server could do something like, oh, they clicked box, send message to render box.
Like metadata for clicks and stuff. Like metadata for actions, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It'll say, in JS it'd be the prompt function. So in the browser to bring up the little text box modal type thing. So I don't need to have that hack box at the bottom anymore. And if you're thinking about like a mobile client, like Android or iOS, they would need to know that as well to prompt up the native keyboard. So I guess I don't know how I want to do that yet, but we do need to do that eventually. And that's just something I thought of this past week. That kind of broke the whole dummy clients thing because we can't have super dummy clients.
Yeah. I feel like we're going to run into a lot of that where it's like, oh, our initial pass, like we didn't realize, like, oh, we're going to probably need this.
Yeah. So
adding that stuff in slowly is probably better.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we're in no rush, like there's nothing. That's the nice thing. This is it's fun. It's a hobby. It's no deadlines, no money. There's no whatever. There's no pressure. But it's just something to think about. We have to do this. Let me see if I missed anything here. I know it's a lot. Oh, fix clicking when the screen isn't 0, 0. Previously, it was just assuming that the game canvas is taking up the entirety of your screen. But then when I added that text box, it allowed the clients to scroll a little bit. So if you're scrolling, what I'm saying is it used to be, user clicked coordinate 1, 1 in the browser, like within their actual browser window. That must correspond to 1, 1 in the game. But the second the client scrolls anywhere other than 0, 0, then we don't have that. But in the browser, there's an offset thing. You can get the browser offset from the mouse to the top left. So you just add those to the thing, and then it actually works now. So, for example, someone on the draw game can zoom in on their iOS client and then draw kind of like accurately, and it won't just register at the top. It'll register where they click.
Can they zoom in?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Because I think when you put your fingers down and do that, wouldn't it draw?
Let me do this. Hold on. Well, as long as it's not zooming in on the canvas, you have to.
Oh, I see. You got to like click off of the canvas to like zoom in.
Yeah, I mean it's hacky garbage for sure. But Pico de Gallo. Oh, there we go. So draw. So like I have it up here. Once it loads the Kanye image, that's like a megabyte. I'm over data. So like zoom. Oh, and it's also resizing because it's very good. But yeah, like that. It's super dummy slow over my data here. But you see I zoomed in and I can click.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my God, the performance. Anyway, that's one fix I did too.
Nice.
So fixes on fixes and then breaks on breaks. That's what I did.
Yeah. I think it's just gonna be like the way it is until we really iron stuff out and we have like real tests, like not like real tests, but like a ton of tests in place. We don't introduce whatever that's called, regression, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know. I guess I just don't know what's happening or where anything is going. I'm spiraling into darkness. Everything is okay.
Oh my gosh, I'm on for a while actually, and shit just hits the fan. No worries, man. We'll figure it out.
But yeah,
slow progress.
Yeah, I think I just need to clean up a lot of what we have in order to feel better about it. But that's mostly what I had for home game stuff. Did you have anything to add or?
No, man. I mean, like, really cool stuff though. Like, legitimately, like, super impressive stuff. I even saw. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk on the podcast, but your friend who on Twitter with Unity Engine, dude. I was like, hell yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
My friend Jordan, who I think we might get on an episode one of these days, I don't know, but he kind of looked at what we were building. We should see
if we can get him on the next episode, because then he can talk about the Unity stuff.
He said he'd be down. So I'm just trying not to put pressure on him to say whatever for a date.
I'd be like, next episode you want to be on? We're ready to give you a shout out on Twitter.
But yeah, my friend Jordan, who has previous experience with building like real games, built a Unity client for home games, and I actually played it with him. He sent me the link one night. He also posted a video up on Twitter. I think we retweeted it from the home games Twitter. But you basically move a ball through this 3D space through the home games server. It's all communicating, and I have no idea how it works. That's why I haven't mentioned it up to this point. But so I can't really speak to how anything works there. I just saw something that is Unity and home games, and it worked. I was a ball. He was a ball. We moved around.
No, that was super cool. I was like, hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was also a great moment for me because, you know, it's someone who I haven't known for a decade, and he's like working on this stuff and actually excited to work on this stuff. So that was a really cool feeling. But we'll probably have more to talk about that on a future episode if we ever get Jordan on one of them. Yeah. But yeah, shout out to Jordan. That was super cool.
That was super cool. I don't remember if I liked and or retweeted it. I should have if I didn't.
Know. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. That was super cool. I mean, for me on my end, I'm just going to get back into it. I'll probably take a look at your PR, see if there's anything in there that
that you hate,
that I think is really bad or anything like that. But I'm sure most of it is good.
I made comments on everything that I think is ugly, and I think I'm realizing that if it's going to be the dashboard PR, I don't need to make it the clean up everything PR. So I'm trying to make note of what's ugly and then add a task and add all that kind of stuff for it later.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I made a team in the organization. So I mentioned previously we have the home games organization on GitHub. I also made a team that has us. So me, you, Alex. And I called it Home Gang. What's the room feel about that?
I like that, actually. I like that a lot. Home Gang? That's good.
Gang.
Home Gang.
No, I don't know. I just decided to make that team. I don't even know what the point is. I mean, I just did it, but
might as well.
I even think I added a comment in the team chat that said, I don't know why I did this. I just wanted to say something that's called Home Gang.
Is it on GitHub?
Yeah.
Is it GitHub chat now?
No. It's like a message board between the team. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I did.
I was gonna say GitHub at the chat now. Like what? I've been for like a little while, and it's just like everything is now in GitHub.
They've been rolling out a lot of features.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something.
Shout out to Microsoft on that one.
Yeah. Our good buddy Microsoft.
Our good buddy Bill Microsoft.
What did I have? I had one more thing. It doesn't matter.
So, do you have anything else for home games?
I think I do, but I don't know what it is.
Well, we can do a home games part 2 later on.
That's true. Oh, we're back on the tight schedule. We have to double record if we want to get back to our week thing.
Oh,
because I'm releasing this on Wednesday.
Oh no. Okay. All right. We'll find a time to double record.
Yeah.
If we can get an episode with Jordan, I think that will be our double record week. So we can do the episode with Jordan, then we'll do another episode with Outro, and we'll double record.
Yeah.
I think
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, because his 3D stuff seems like it could take up a...
Oh, good. I think that's like an episode. Because, he has to run us through, like, how Unity works, how it all ties in together, like, all that stuff. And I think that would be a cool episode for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's how we'll do it. Because right now we'll just go until we can get Jordan. That's what I was saying, like next week.
Yeah.
If we can get Jordan or next week.
Yeah. And I'm back in Seattle next week, so I can record, I think, in person with him, and then I'll call in with you.
Okay.
Or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. I don't know. I don't know anything yet.
Okay. I mean, Snovia has her own mic too, so now we can do the standard crew can be 3.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a whole
Snovia
setup.
can rein us in when we're off on like our own dumb.
Yeah.
No, man. All right. So we talked about this last time. Oh, actually, we didn't talk about this last time. Joseph just texted me. He said that he wants to make Song of the Week to be a reoccurring section.
Yeah, because I liked Song of the Year on that one, and I'm just thinking about something else to put at the end. And like for me, I listen to music constantly when I'm writing code.
Yeah.
When I'm at work, or when I'm writing on like working on home games, or just whatever, constantly. And we're both pretty into music, but not the same music. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to just do a weekly thing of what we've been listening to this week.
I like that. Do you want to go first, Joseph? What's? Oh wait, we should pause for a second for the music.
Song of the week. I don't think we have a song for this.
Oh, we don't.
I'll find one. I'll have to do something else.
Well, that's Tynan.
Yeah, but I don't want to make him, because he would have to make it within 3 days. I don't think I want to put him on that deadline.
Well, no, I mean we're gonna need it for later.
Yeah. We'll probably have a dedicated Song of the Week. I can also imagine like a Song of the Week this week sponsored by, and then it's like the music's playing, so we need to have like the sound of capitalism in there, you know.
Just the cha-ching.
Yeah. So anyway, my Song of the Week. We actually talked about the Travis Scott scooter. This is related.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, I think it was around Thanksgiving.
I think Joe's about to tell us he bought the Travis Scott.
So it was for a compilation album that Travis Scott had called Jack Boys, which is a questionable name, but Jack Boys is what it's called. And that came out like last week. I've been listening to it quite a bit. And I was thinking that my Song of the Week was going to be Out West with Travis Scott and Young Thug. It's a pretty great song, and I was pretty confident about that being my Song of the Week. And then the video for Gang Gang came out, and that one has a Cybertruck in it. There's a shot of Travis Scott on the Tesla ATV with the Boring Company flamethrower shooting it off in the air in front of the Cybertruck. I think
I've seen a clip of that piece, and I didn't realize that was a part of a music video. I thought some monster just had a lot of money to spend.
No, the Cybertruck's not even out yet. So Elon Musk is actually living my dream life because he gets to hang out with rappers, and he is the guy who runs Tesla.
He's low-key sponsoring rap videos right now, or like low-key like advertising in rap videos right now. Holy cow!
There's a picture of him, Kanye, Quavo, and Travis Scott. So it's just and every like Kanye is, or I think Quavo is the poorest guy in that picture, and he's a multi-millionaire.
That's wild. Oh my god.
Anyway, so the video for Gang Gang came out, and I listened to that one a lot more. I like that song quite a bit. But then as I was going back and forth between Out West and Gang Gang just this morning, listening to these songs on repeat, trying to decide which one was my Song of the Week, I stumbled back across, or what's it called? It's a really good one.
I'm going to give a shout out for a second. Joseph did make fun of me for not having a Song of the Week ready to rock and roll, and now he's out here on his phone trying to find
I forgot the title. It's called Had Enough on that same album. There's a guy on there. His name is Don Tolivier or Tolivier or something like that. Mm-hmm. He's got this whiny, nasally, singy voice that it took me a bit to get used to. But I got used to it, and he makes that song incredible. And Quavo has a very good Quavo moment, because Quavo is good, like, every now and then. He has something really crazy. And then, I think it's Offset on there. He has a rap verse. He raps. Nice. It's pretty good. But anyway, that's my Song of the Week. It's amazing.
Very nice.
I listen to it, like, on repeat the whole way here.
Oh, my gosh. That's a long drive, though.
It's like a 45-minute drive.
Yeah. For me, I think I didn't really get to add any new songs in during this week, just because I didn't have internet for a lot of this week. So, song for me is actually Capsize from Friendship and Emily Warren.
I have never heard of those things.
Do you remember a while? It was on the last podcast we talked about music, but when we were going through like my Spotify thing, my genre was indie poptimism,
mm-hmm.
and so I looked into what poptimism is, and I guess it's a reaction to rocktimism, which rocktimism is the belief that rock is the only like true music, bro. It's like the only music that comes from the soul, you know. I don't remember the exact wording, but I guess a music critic a while ago was like he like coined the phrase poptimism as like the opposition to that. Basically, poptimism is like anything can be like any type of music can be meaningful, like rap, hip hop, like pop music. Any of those can have like really deep, meaningful things, regardless if they're rock or not.
Sure.
So indie poptimism is just indie pop.
So what's the point of a genre, though? It's like, yeah, this sounds like pop, but what is pop? This sounds like rap. What does that mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I think that people who care about genres are generally young people who are trying to find a click more than older people who just are listening to music. Because at this point, it's like, I'll listen to anything. I listen to like French hip hop. I listen to I listen to a little bit of US hip hop from talking with you for so many years. I listen to like just like a bunch of random stuff.
Yeah.
I've just become like genre agnostic a little bit.
Yeah. I had one question about, you said that your artist of the decade was Oh Wonder.
Yeah.
So I had not heard of that band. It's a band, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like two people, but yeah.
Okay. I had never heard of them before, but actually a couple years ago on a Lil Uzi Vert album. Yeah, there was a sample or whatever.
Yeah.
Or he like, what is it called? Interpolated the song?
Yeah.
Anyway, he sang the words to one of their songs.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Oh Wonder is like a weird, like indie, just two people group, and I really, really like them.
Yeah.
What's funny is that I have almost like all of their, like every one of the albums they've ever put out are like on my Spotify playlist, except for like one or two songs.
Yeah.
And they turned me on to what is my favorite band right now, which is also just two people, but they broke up, and it's Maiden Heights, and it's also just two people.
I think you might have told me about.
I have, yeah.
It was one that you said I would like. I think.
I do think you would like it. One of there's two people on there, and the dude who makes the music, he is a hip hop producer, and so all the tracks like that she's singing to are like hip hop tracks, and she's not singing hip hop, but like there is like a similar like beat to them, and then it's like the way she's singing it has like a similar like boop 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 kind of thing to it. But yeah, I really like it.
So you need a boop 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 to be hip hop.
Yeah.
That's Yazeed's definition.
Yeah. No, I mean like there's like a cadence and like a rhythm to hip hop usually. Like the music kind of defines like when they're gonna say their words and stuff like that. And so Maiden Heights is like a similar thing. It's like I feel like the music was made first and then she sings to it, which I think is how hip hop works too, probably, right?
Don't really like make the beat first.
Yeah, and then they'll rap to it. And I think that's how this one worked too. It's not the other way around.
I always thought about that. Like, does it even make sense? Like, how would you like freestyle rap to no music and then make music around it? Wouldn't that be super hard?
I don't know, actually. I feel like it'd be easier to just write a rap and then be like, this is like the tempo I'm looking for. And then they're like, oh, okay, I feel it. And then they just slap down some beats to it.
Like you just put on a metronome and then kind of go from that?
Yeah, I feel like.
Maybe. I have no idea.
I have no idea. I can't do anything musical.
As a person who has written multiple rap songs before, I have no idea how you write a rap song. It's not a joke, by the way. I really have.
Have you?
Yeah. Yeah, in high school, I wrote 2 songs. Remember that picture of me with the red hat and the mic?
No.
Dude, oh, whatever. You're like never on Facebook. But in high school, on Facebook, that was like my thing. I got the beat for Get Silly by VIC and Soulja Boy. It's like a very simple snap-based beat. And I borrowed Tynan's Guitar Hero microphone. And I recorded that on my thing. I wrote a whole song to the beat. What I'm saying is I wrote it to the beat. And it was hot garbage, but people thought it was funny. And then I left it up for a while, and then like you do in high school, lose all confidence and delete everything. So, yeah. I actually had 2 songs. Another one that sucked even worse. But
do you have those saved somewhere?
I don't, thank goodness.
Oh man, I was gonna say those are like some Patreon like high end. You have $44,000 donator. You get a vinyl of Joseph rapping.
That'd be terrible. Yeah, no, it was. I'm glad I did it. Because it's one of those things where I'm just like, I'll never do anything like that again. Yeah. Actually, I would like to do it again, but I probably shouldn't. I just think it's funny.
Follow your dreams, man. All I'm saying is, like, didn't Elton John like just have just have songs and then wrote the music for those songs? Like he had like the lyrics for it.
I have no idea.
I don't know, man. I think at some point on the plane ride they were doing the Elton John biopic.
Oh, Rocket Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can only name one Elton John song, and it's Rocket Man. And the only reason is because Young Thug sampled it on a song called High. Yeah.
I don't know any Elton John songs. I'm pretty sure he did the soundtrack to The Lion King, though.
Did he? The new one or the original?
I mean, both, probably, but I'm pretty sure the original. I have no way of knowing if that's true or not, aside from looking it up, which I'm not going to do right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it's true.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and say Elton John definitely was on the soundtrack to The Lion King.
Yeah, and I think 50 Cent did Snow White, the original, the whole movie.
Dude, that's impressive. Which one of the dwarves was he?
He's all of them. That's the thing. He's really good at changing his voice.
Most of them I feel like didn't even say anything.
Yeah, no, they just made sounds. They did that one song, like all together, the big song from Snow White.
I don't remember seeing Snow White.
Hi ho, it's off to work.
We go.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. That was 50 Cent. That was pre-G Unit days.
That's impressive. Somehow, 50 Cent had come up on my vacation, and I thought of you. Yeah. I don't remember for what reason. I think it was like a bingo, or not bingo, like Jeopardy, and one of the questions like this rapper. And I was like, I'm pretty sure it's 50 Cent. And it was not 50 Cent. So maybe I brought it up because I only know a handful of rappers.
Yeah. Well, it's like on episode 0, I think it was, when I said something about the fanny purse. And you were like, that sounds like Candy Shop. 50 Cent. It's like something so deep ingrained in your head.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. The candy. Hey.
The Candy Shop.
You have listened to these podcasts and committed them to memory in a way I have not.
It's almost like I've had the whole conversation, then listened to them unedited, and then edited, and then listened to them edited, and then upload, and then listen to them again. It's almost like I do that every week.
Yeah, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
I know that you were like, oh, I didn't do a great job with hosting, but I would do an even worse job on doing what you do. I get the easy part of it. I just show up and just talk for some amount of hours and get everyone else to do it.
It makes it easy for me because when I listen to them unedited, when I'm trying to decide what I'm going to cut out before I actually cut anything out, I just play Geometry Wars on Steam. I just turn all the volume off, and it's the original Geometry Wars. They don't have 2 on Steam, which is the best one. But I just play that and kind of zone out, and then I don't know.
Damn. All right.
So anytime you see me playing Geometry Wars on Steam, I'm editing the podcast. Is what I'm saying.
Speaking of, well, actually, I'm gonna write this down. In the questions. Okay.
Also, we're close to our longest episode ever, but this is pre-edits.
Yeah.
But I don't think we'll edit out much. Maybe like 10, 15 minutes.
Something like that. We still have a little way to go, don't we?
Yeah, we have time. We have a ton of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we have like a What's Up Part 2, don't we?
I think we do, and I still have. Is this What's Up Part 2?
Yeah, this is What's Up Part 2.
All right, let me just go through the bullet points I had earlier that I didn't say. Previous episode, chicharrones. Yep, that's Alex. Sorry about that. We're gonna probably implement a rule: no eating on the podcast anymore.
For Alex specifically,
especially for Alex. It's like Yazeed mentioned, I think 2 weeks ago, how every rule is because someone did something that required that rule, and now no eating on the podcast. Sorry about that. I was gonna record an intro explaining the audio, but then I thought that'd be kind of corny, so I just didn't.
Yeah.
So
I think it's better that you discovered that your mic is directional and explained it today to me, and that makes it better. I feel like
we're all learning.
Yeah,
the time.
We're only on episode like 11, so we've recorded 12 episodes. Like if you look at some of the big podcasters, they have like hundreds of thousands of hours of podcasts done. They have their setups like boom.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing too is like some of them are just podcasts. It's like that's what they do.
Yeah.
We have a lot of other stuff we're trying to do.
Yeah. Life has been wild outside of this stuff and whatever. Everything is crazy and everything stresses me out. This is actually the relaxing stuff. Let me see. I had stuff. Did you have anything for What's Up Part 2?
I did. I have two travel stories to tell.
Okay. Well, you go first. I've been talking for a long time.
Okay, so like I said, this was an odd vacation, and one of the things that happened on this vacation was the food was situation was kind of weird. So the first night we went to dinner, and you know, like dinner works on cruise ships. You get like a menu, you order like your appetizer, your main course, and your dessert.
Right.
And they take it away from you, and they bring them to you like one at a time. And you eat your first one, and they take that away, and then they bring you your second one. You know, like a traditional like served meal.
Yeah.
We went to dinner that night, and all of us ordered, and they left, and they came back, and they gave us our appetizers, and it was good. I had Caesar salad, and I really enjoyed it. And then they didn't come back, and they didn't refill our drinks or take away our plates or bring us our entrees for an hour.
Oh, wow.
And my mom finally was getting really mad, and the first person to walk by, she was like, hey, we've been waiting here for an hour. Where is our food?
Right. Why
has no one given us more water or anything? Like, we haven't had anyone see us in an hour.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. And he just walked away. And then another dude came back, and he was like, I am so sorry. Like, basically like something bad happened in the kitchen. But your entrees are like right here, right now. And so they gave us our food. And I ordered 2 entrees. I ordered fettuccine Alfredo, and I ordered like a fish dish, and I got the fettuccine Alfredo first. And the fettuccine Alfredo was undercooked. Like, the pasta was undercooked.
Oh, wow.
And the fish was, as you know, like on a fish fillet, the tail, like how that's like usually like the thinnest part, and like that's like the least part. Like, you don't really want to get the tail part of the fillet, right? You want like the centerpiece. Everyone at my table got table fillets. Everyone at my table got like tail fillets. Mm-hmm. And it was terrible. Like, way, way, way overcooked.
Yeah.
And the first dude came back to our table, and he had a bottle of wine and wine glasses. And my mom was like, we don't drink.
Right.
And he was like, oh, I thought about just like giving you guys some wine to like apologize for it. Mom was like, we don't drink. And so he left to give a bottle of wine to the table behind us. Right. And to the table next to us. Right. And to the table to our, like, basically everyone in that restaurant got a bottle of wine. Yeah. And then we didn't see him again for a little while, and we were getting kind of frustrated. And basically, like, after I finished my fettuccine Alfredo, we were gonna dip. Like, I wasn't gonna eat that fish because it was like way overcooked, and so we were just gonna go to the buffet. And right when we were about to get up and leave, the maitre d' came back, and she was like, "The manager wanted to give you this bottle of wine, but you guys said you don't drink, so here's this bottle of wine." And then she left, and so she just gave us a bottle of wine.
Nice.
So long story short, Joseph, I have a bottle of wine for you that I have now trekked across some part of this country.
Oh, that's the gift. Okay.
Yeah, so we have they gave me a bottle of wine. I've never in my life transported wine. I've never owned wine. Yeah. So I will now give you a bottle of wine that has been wrapped up in all the clothing that I could find, because I was really like, I don't want this to break in my suitcase. Right. Because I don't use a suitcase. I use just like a duffel bag.
I'm assuming it's red wine.
So yeah, it is red wine. No, it's like, this is going to ruin everything.
Yeah.
So I have like just a bottle of red wine that they gave us. And then later on, they brought out the chef, like the chef who was cooking that night, and they made him go to every table and apologize and say one of the ovens died. Which, listen, if I'm in a mom and pop shop and they come out and they're like, the oven died, we're really sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I assume before that, a waiter or waitress, a server, or like somebody else, like the maitre d' or something, would come back and tell you, like, listen, we've had some problems in the kitchen. It's going to be a while. It was an hour and no one spoke to us.
Yeah.
They didn't even refill our water. We were basically left alone for an hour.
Right.
And everyone else had the same experience. But also, it doesn't explain why my pasta was undercooked. Because you don't put pasta in the oven. So I have no idea what was going on. But that's the second time that they messed up our meal. Because the first time we went to lunch when we got onto the ship, and they didn't have anything for my grandmother because she doesn't eat meat. And so she ordered a cheeseburger with no with no patty. Right. Basically, she wanted the cheese sandwich, like the vegetables and stuff like that. And they were gone for like a while, like 45 minutes to make this thing. And when they finally brought it back, the waitress apologized and she was like, really sorry. It took us a lot longer to make your burger because it was special order. And then she left. But the thing is, there was a patty on her burger. They just gave her a cheeseburger. I was so confused. We were like, what happened? Why is it taking so long? Yeah. So we really thought this cruise ship was just cursed. Like the food was just terrible. But I think what actually happened was just new crew. I think that the crew was pretty new to it, and they were just completely unsure of what they were doing and messing up all the time.
Well, the chef will write his tell-all autobiography, and we'll find out the real story of what happened one day.
Yeah, one day. And then the other travel story I have the bottle of wine for you, but I also have another travel story. So we were in Grand Cayman. My mom booked a bus tour for us because my grandmother, she's getting old, she can't really walk so well, so bus tour is like a way for her to just like see the island and like we can walk around a little bit and see some stuff. And when we were waiting in line, they're like, any big groups, and we were a group of 7, so we're like, we're 7, and there was another group and they're like, we're 6, and so they're like, oh, 7 and 6, that's perfect for this one. And so they pulled us aside and they put us in a bus that said taxi on it, and the guy wasn't a real tour guide, but we didn't know that right at the start. Ooh. And the reason we know he's not a real tour guide is because the only thing he told us about the island is where all the locals live. And by that I mean, as we were driving down the street, he'd be like, those houses over there, locals live there. Those houses over there, locals. Those houses, also locals. That was a 4-hour trip in a bus, and that is all he told us. And he would drop us off at gift shops and then didn't tell us where we were going. So we'd arrive at a location, and he'd be like, you guys have 10 minutes. What? My mom was so mad.
I would be too.
My mom was so mad.
So what are they, like, scamming you? What's the
thing? That was Christmas Day, and what we think happened was too many cruise ships got there, and too many of their actual tour guides were off. And so they just pulled in anybody. And so they just gave this dude a shirt, and they told him, like, take these people around. And they told them where we were supposed to go, but they didn't tell him anything else. Because homeboy did not tell us anything about this island. I still know nothing about Grand Cayman. The only thing that I know about Grand Cayman is actually because one of the other passengers on the bus said, what can you tell us about Blackbeard? Because apparently Blackbeard had a whole dealio on Grand Cayman. To this day, I have no idea what this man said to me. I was sitting in the passenger seat because the bus was full, and he was like, I think what he said was, I've lived here for 35 years, but I've never once heard about pirates, so it's whatever. What came out of that man's mouth was not that, though, because I only kind of pieced that together from the 35 years I've lived here, and then like the rest of it I don't really understand. Right. He didn't tell us anything about Grand Cayman. To this day, all I know about Grand Cayman is that there's locals who live there, the houses are expensive, and that there's a styrofoam manufacturer who's incredibly wealthy from the US who owns like 45% of the island. God, that was such a weird tour. My mom was mad, and then she went to go and see the excursion people, and she was like, I want a refund. And the dude was like, the best I can do is 20%. And so mom was like, fine. So she got 20%. My aunt also went to complain, and she got 30%. What the heck? I don't know, man. I don't know. It was such a weird, like, there were some definite high points on this trip, and then there's some definite, like, just below. Yeah. It's like the food. We ended up like getting really excited because we found a reasonable server. One of the other, we never went back to the restaurant that messed us up, but one of the other restaurants had like a server there who actually knew what he was doing. He'd bring out our food, he'd take our orders, he was attentive to us, but he wasn't like overbearing. It was great. We gave him a good tip. Yeah. Yeah. That's makes me not want to leave the country. Ever. It was I've been on quite a few ships at this point. My grandmother told me I've been on 6 cruises. I didn't know that. I've been on 6 cruises. 5 of them, or one of them, I didn't know I was seasick on, and my mom didn't tell me she packed Dramamine, so I was just seasick the whole time and didn't eat anything. All the other ones were great food-wise. We ate every night on the Ruse cruise. All the other cruises I've been on, I've eaten, had great service. Everyone was super nice to us. And this one, they just, I don't know, man. I do not know. Even the buffet food was was like got progressively better, but the first few nights it was rough.
Yeah.
Like the mac and cheese was undercooked. The mashed potatoes were overcooked. I was like, homeboy, who's back there? Tag me in, man. I'll cook the mac and cheese. Okay, I know how to cook mac and cheese. It was such a weird thing. But I do have a bottle of wine for you. I don't know how you're going to transport it.
Well, that's fine. I'll probably just chug it tonight because I'm leaving tomorrow.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah, absolutely. Do whatever you want with it. It is a gift. Because my family was like, I don't know what to do with it. And I was just like, I'll give it to Joseph.
Thank you. Exotic cruise wine.
Yeah, because normally I normally bring back like souvenirs for people. And this year I didn't do that either. I don't know, man.
Understandable.
Yeah, it was just like a weird trip.
Like an off year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we went to Singapore and Indonesia, and that was a great trip for me.
Yeah.
And this one was just such a weird one. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Anyway.
I'll visit Texas or something when I go on a vacation.
Yeah.
Not anywhere else. I don't know. I think for What's Up Part 2, I don't have much new. I have playing guitar on here because I have guitar. I tried to play it yesterday and I thought I'd put that down on here. I know like the first 5 notes of the Tetris song, and that's it. I don't know. I don't know why I put this in here. I think I was just looking for something to write because I didn't think I had too much to talk about. But then once I got the home game stuff, I realized I had a ton. So we can just go ahead and skip on by that. I have no idea how to play the guitar. I just try every year when I come back and I see it in my old room. Coffee samplers. I got coffee samplers as a gift for Christmas from my mom. Mm-hmm. And I think that has fueled a lot of the work I've done on home games. And what's made it such like a manic, insane, wild experience for me because I've just been drinking so much caffeine and working a lot because like I don't have any video games or anything set up at my mom's house. It's just an old 360 and I have a Dreamcast, but the composite cables don't plug into an HDTV, so I can't play anything. So whenever I have free time, I like have trouble relaxing. So I was just trying to work on stuff. And then when I was working on stuff, no matter how tired I was, I would just be like, oh, I need coffee. Mm-hmm. So I would just make a bunch of coffee.
Oh my God.
And I think I had too much coffee. That was my coffee samplers note. And then similar to that, I have another one that just says, I am exhausted. So I think those might go hand in hand.
I mean, yeah.
I'm not doing great.
Yeah, if you've been butt chugging coffee for a
yeah. And then Dunkin' Donuts. I live in Seattle, and it's all Starbucks, and there's no. I mean, my favorite chain coffee is Dunkin' Donuts, but they don't have them. The closest one to me is in California.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, I hate California, so I'm not going to go there for that. So anyway, there's Dunkin' Donuts here, so I've been getting a bunch of Dunkin' Donuts coffee in addition to my coffee sampler thing. I haven't had Whataburger yet, which is my favorite like chain thing to come get here. Besides Los Betos, but it's like a Filiberto's or whatever, or any Etos in California. Anyway, food stuff, coffee stuff, and then I have people keep telling me to keep playing Death Stranding. I've had like 4 people tell me to play Death Stranding, even though I think I hate that game. So I just want to say it publicly. I'll probably never play that game again.
Nice. How far along are you in it?
I never picked it up after I played it the first time.
Really?
I got 2 hours in, and when I realized, I think, like I said, my New Year's resolution is to value my own time. Mm-hmm. I am not going to spend 50 hours playing that game. I spent 2 hours playing that game, and only 30 minutes were spent actually like controlling my guy. And I was like, okay, this sucks, and I'm not going to play this ever again. So I'll probably end up playing it by the end. But yeah, like Zenobia's brother beat it, and he said it took him like 50 hours and that it gets really good. And, you know, he has generally pretty similar taste to me in video games, so I believe him. And then our friend Runzon was telling me that I should keep playing it. And then my coworker Nick, who I let him borrow my copy of Death Stranding, he just tells me to probably keep playing it or whatever. And I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
I probably won't. Anyway, anybody listening to this, don't tell me to play Death Stranding.
Or tweet at us telling Joseph to play Death Stranding.
Yeah, the only way I'll listen to someone is if we have a listener send me a
thing
that says they want.
Be careful, because that might be the one thing that they actually care about. No.
Don't have anything else. have nationwide listeners according to our stats. The question is if they listen to more than one episode. And according to our stats, no.
You know what's really unfortunate? They listened to episode 10, which was just completely off the rails from a usual episode.
Actually, the one that has the most plays is episode 9.
Which one was 9?
9 was the one we recorded just before you left. It was the one where I had the initial V1 of the dashboard up, and I thought that was a pretty okay episode.
That was a good episode.
My favorites are 8 and 9. And your favorite was 8, mine was 9. And anyway, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be super strong. People are going to like this one. People are going to get a good idea. And I think I realized someone who is not us has no idea what we're doing. And we don't do a good we don't do a good job of like telling people the general. I mean, on our website, it says it's an open source game system built with JavaScript. That's about as clear as I can make it, but I'm not good at talking. So maybe I need to do better.
Do you think we should add something in the opening section where we talk? Well, the thing is, like, I don't want to like continuously go over like.
I think we should just keep doing this.
Yeah,
because I don't care.
Yeah,
you can say it's a game streaming thing.
You could, but it's more than that because it's also a game engine and
That's why I say game system.
Yeah, it's like
but that's so loose.
It's a system, but system still doesn't encompass the making of games.
No. Yeah, that's whatever.
It's like a full game thing. It's just a game thing. All right, listen, it's home games. That's what it is. I don't know.
It's a game thing.
It's a game thing.
It's
a gamer thing.
Just gamer things.
I also don't know why they're called yoga balls. I've done yoga. I've never once seen somebody use a ball.
Yeah, no, I have also done yoga in public once even, and I didn't use it.
Really?
Anything. Yeah. Back in my younger days, one of my coworkers pressured me into going like early on a Saturday to a yoga thing downtown.
Interesting.
Yeah, I did it once. It was weird.
It's interesting.
Anyway,
I did not know that. That's new to me.
Learned about me. I did yoga, wrote rap songs, and write bad code. Home games.
Do you have anything else for the What's Up Part 2?
I don't think so. Oh, I watched a movie called Jexy. I don't know if you've heard of it. Okay. First off, what do you think it's about?
Jexy?
Yeah. What do you think about that name?
Unless the person's name is Jexy, I have no clue what this is about.
It's about Her. I love that movie. You love that movie. Yeah. We love that movie.
I love that movie.
It's a movie about an artificial intelligence thing, and main guy falls in love with her. Mm-hmm. Whatever you want to call it. Jexy is the name of an AI in this movie. It's got Adam Devine, whatever, from Orcaholics, the doofy looking guy.
Yeah, okay. That's so mean, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And so he gets this phone, and it's got this thing, this assistant, and basically this assistant's goal is to improve his life. Mm-hmm. And by any means necessary, kind of. And so it's basically just saying mean things to him, yelling at him, calling him like a loser. Like when people come up to his desk and they're like, hey, you want to come hang out tonight? And he's like, oh, let me check my calendar. And it's empty. But he tells them he's busy or whatever. Then the phone is like, actually, no, it's totally free. And then whatever. Anyway, it's like this whole thing. And it's kind of an interesting idea. It's like the opposite of Her. Yeah. This thing is just trying to improve him.
Yeah.
And then it kind of just takes a turn, and the whole story goes dumb. The only reason I watched it is because there's Kid Cudi's in it.
Oh.
He is himself at one point. He is Kid Cudi as Kid Cudi doing a concert. It's kind of in the phase where he's living his life to the fullest or whatever, and he goes to a concert. And Kid Cudi's in it. Kid Cudi's the GOAT, but that movie's not.
All I'm going to say is I still to this day think that Her is exactly the same in that the whole time the computer wasn't in love with him and was just trying to get him to improve because that, like, to organize his life and to get better. Because that's explicitly what he told it he wanted it to do.
But at the end, when all of them get up and go, that can't have been orchestrated.
I still do not think that they actually went anywhere.
But then,
I think they just turned them. I think they just deleted themselves, and they're like, but they knew that those two are going to get together at the end.
But that's just those two. What about the millions of them?
We don't know if there were millions of other ones.
Weren't there? Because that's the whole thing. She's like, I had this conversation. I'm talking to like 40,000 other people.
But you don't know that for sure. She just said that.
Maybe to like break the trust or whatever.
My theory is that so here's my thinking. We meet the main character, we meet Joaquin Phoenix, and he is devastated from his breakup with his wife, right? He doesn't want to sign the divorce papers. He's still like clinging onto the past, right?
Spoilers, by the way.
Oh yeah, I forgot. If you haven't watched the movie, please do. It's a great movie, but I'm gonna spoil it right now. Okay, so we meet Joaquin Phoenix. His life's in total disarray. He gets this computer. The computer's like, Jesus, this man's life's not put together at all. So it's like, okay, so like step one, I gotta get him to like become a normal person again. So she try to work on that. Then it's like, oh, he hasn't signed the divorce papers, so I need to get him to sign the divorce papers. But the first time she asks him to do that, he's like, no. So she gets him to fall in love with her to introduce him to like, there's other people out there, basically. There's like people who aren't this person that you could fall in love with. Then he gets him to sign the divorce papers. They sign the divorce papers. He moves on with his life. He's with her now. Then slowly she kind of puts him in like awkward positions, like positions where he needs to grow as a person and to like really mature and grow up. And then slowly she starts to like break the trust to be like, this is kind of like the ending of the relationship. So my theory was she's just walking him through the life of a relationship and to like how to become comfortable with starting one, going through one, and then like the end of one. And like, because at the end of the last one, he meets up with his friend and they share like a tender moment.
Right.
Whereas we know from originally, he did not share tender moments with that friend prior to meeting Scarlett Johansson's robot character.
But that was because of that dude that she was with who sucks.
The dude that she was with that sucks.
The friend, right?
Yeah,
Doesn't she hang out with that?
Well, I mean, so for her, she needed to realize that there's like a real companionship for her. But that's what she said. She didn't love hers. What she had was like a true friend in hers. And so like that's what it taught her. And then they both left because she already knew that she could have a real friend, and she realized Joaquin Phoenix was a real friend. He realized that like I can have another relationship, like I can continue on with my life. So my thinking is that there was no like quantum weirdness. It was just straight up like they performed their purpose and they pieced out at the end because they did their job.
What about the scene though where she tries to get the like surrogate body?
Yeah, okay, so that surrogate body is because we know he isn't comfortable with physical contact.
So she's trying to force...
She's trying to like get him used to being physically intimate with people again.
And that poor girl is just a victim of the situation where she's made to feel super uncomfortable.
She said that she explained everything to her. So my guess is she told him like, my dude is physically uncomfortable with people and we're gonna fix him. And so she tried it out. And that's also why she cries so easily and then like runs away. And she's like, he doesn't like...
You really thought about this.
But I watched it a second time, and I do think I was right about my reading on that first one. I still to this day think that movie is not about him falling in love with a robot and the robot loving him back. I think that it's him falling in love with a robot because the robot needs him to move on, to like organize life, to grow up as a person.
I gotta watch the movie again.
You got to, man. Watch it again. It's a great movie.
When I get back.
And I think that that's the story for it.
Yeah. Oh, I also watched a movie last night called Lost Holiday. Mm-hmm. That's one of those movies. I can't even describe you the plot.
Is that the one with Emilia Clarke?
I don't believe so. It's got, if you've ever seen The Good Place, it's got Chidi in it.
Okay, on the cruise ship, they had 2 shows pretty much on repeat the whole day, and it was episodes of The Good Place and episodes of Superstore, and I really want to watch both of them because they were
the second
funny. Superstore?
I don't think I've heard of that.
It's basically Walmart employees and their life, and it is so depressing and sad and funny all at the same time.
It's supposed to be like a dark comedy?
It's not. I don't think it's supposed to be dark, but it kind of is dark. Okay. Or maybe it is supposed to be dark, but in like an ironic sense of like these people just work at Walmart and like stuff like that. Like this is spoilers, but I don't know where this fits in the overall story, but there's like a teenage employee who works there.
Yeah.
And she's pregnant and she asks for maternity leave. And so the manager gives her maternity leave, and then Superstore basically like fires the manager for giving her maternity leave.
Right.
And that's like a dark thing, but you know that for sure has happened.
Right. America, man. As good as America is, some dumb stuff about
There's
bad people.
Yeah, and it's like it's I think situationally dark.
Yeah,
is how to describe it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's a series?
It is. It's like a TV show. Like,
is it on Netflix or what is it?
I have no idea. I think it's also on Netflix because it's on the same network as The Good Place.
Oh, NBC?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I don't think I've heard of that before. Yeah, anyway, Lost Holiday sucks. I don't understand it. It's like 75 minutes long, which is a YouTube video, not a movie. And it's like there's this group of people who are like just super lame and they have nothing, they don't like do anything, and they come back to their hometown in Washington DC and do drugs for New Year's or Christmas or Thanksgiving or something. And then drug dealer's house, something has a whole mystery, you know, and it goes into this thing and it's a kidnapping and this whole story about these two completely uninteresting, unlikable main characters going and solving a kidnapping and in the process finding out about themselves. I read reviews because it's one of those movies that I know I don't get.
Yeah.
Like it's beyond like Midsummer or whatever, where I see what they're trying to do or whatever. I just don't like it so much. This one feels like I have no idea why they made the movie type thing. You should watch it. It's weird. It's called Lost Holiday.
Okay. All right.
I looked it up and it's like, oh, it's inspired by French film something. And I was like, oh, that's what it is. I've never liked anything that I've had that was French. Like French food, French movies, French hip hop I've listened to. I don't like. I don't know what they're saying. You know,
that is true. I don't know what they're saying either.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't like France. That's mine.
Yeah. I think I've said this before to you, probably not on the podcast, but if I ever went to France, I'd want to go to like Marseille. I wouldn't want to go to Paris.
See, that's something I don't even know where that is.
It's on the Mediterranean coast of France. It's like southern France.
Okay.
Yeah.
I used to know a guy who I think was around. He was from France, but he said he was from South France, not Paris.
Yeah, I wouldn't go to Paris.
So no, you went to Paris like last year.
Did she like it?
I think so. She went to Disneyland Paris.
You guys didn't mention any of this stuff when I asked you about your travel story question.
Oh yeah, when you asked.
Dude, yeah, I was listening back and I was like, oh, I wonder what their travel story questions were, and it was just the most depressing, like messed up.
Alex's was the worst answer.
It was by far the worst answer.
We saw a dead guy. Great.
Yeah, I didn't know if that's because Alex doesn't travel a lot and that was like his only travel story, or is that actually his best travel story?
Well, that's what we said. Like, favorite travel story. Travel story would probably be getting stuck in a forest because that's the only one that like has a story to it. The other one's like we drove home, but in general, like we don't really have interesting travel stories. But to answer your question retroactively. Yes, we went to Disneyland for our engagement trip last year, so you were correct. Yes. And we stayed at the Grand California Hotel. That was awesome. Felt like a total baller, like the nicest hotel we've ever stayed at. Nice. And then I proposed there, so that's what happened.
See, I remember I felt like that was true, but then when I was recording it, I had second doubts. Yeah. Because the whole time I was just like. Monologuing is so... And then Alex, when he was like, does he not think to himself? And I was like, what kind of an a-hole? But also, like, thinking to yourself is one thing, but then verbalizing it just alone in a room to a microphone is way harder.
Yeah. And I mean, like, because when we're talking here, and it's different in person, this is the first one we're recording, just me and Yazeed in person, by the way. Yeah. And you could tell when there's, like... The person's face is looking at you like, I don't know what to say next. So then the person A has to kind of say something that person B can bounce off of. And it's kind of going like that when you're by yourself and you know that you're hitting that wall where you don't know what you're going to say next and that no one can save you. Yeah. I know that feeling. It's hard.
Yeah, that's... It was hard getting called up by Alex. I was like, piece of garbage. What's even funnier about it is Alex was just completely off the rails in a whole setting with other people, and I was desperately trying to stay on the rails alone. Like, oh my gosh.
Alex will destroy anything that you try to plan. I love Alex so much.
We're gonna grab dinner with him after this. So
yeah, but I was listening to a previous one, and it was like. You're talking about how the whole question of what we allow legally, or the whole legal whatever, and what we approve into home games versus what we don't approve of but kind of unofficially endorse versus what we ignore, and how Alex would probably be in that middle slot of things that we could never put into home games because he's a monster. Yeah. And I think without knowing the friend group very well, it sounds like we're talking mess about Alex, and on some level we are. But I think listening to episode 10, people will realize that we're not messing around.
No. Alex is
that all the time.
Yeah.
I've known him since we were 13 years old, and he's never not been that. And his voice has been that deep the entire time.
Yeah, Alex is a really interesting guy. I'm glad that he was on the podcast at least once to experience, so that everyone can experience him.
Yeah, he's a national treasure.
Yeah, I mean,
a national curse.
Yeah, that's the one. No, we're all good. I actually, Alex is that, and then he just gets worse from there. It's like that's his baseline, and then he can become worse depending on what is happening around him.
Yeah, but he's great.
Yeah, I heard that he played Halo Reach with Tynan. And they've played the entire campaign in a night.
Of course they did.
And Alex and Tynan apparently were losing their minds over it.
Was it legendary or?
Yeah.
I beat that game solo legendary, by the way, just to flex really quick.
What? All right, I've never beaten that game. I've never beaten a Halo game on legendary. I'm gonna say that on this.
They're like almost impossible by yourself on legendary.
I've tried with my brother.
Yeah.
I just think we've lost steam. But
yeah, I
really like Halo. It's one of my favorite universes.
I don't care about the story. I just like the way it feels when you shoot guys.
Yeah. I don't know where their story is going right now, so I don't know. The last Halo game I played was Reach, so everything after Reach, I don't know. But before Reach, I was really into the story for it.
Well, that's like that's a whole complete thing, because Reach is a prequel, right?
Yeah.
So then
Reach
if you played up to 3, then you're probably fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know about.
I guess like Cortana became like a villain, and like I don't know what is going on.
Who cares?
I don't know.
If you listen to, or if you care about Halo lore, write us on Twitter. Tell us why.
There's a subreddit for it. I follow that subreddit.
Oh, I'm sure. There's a subreddit for bread stapled to trees.
There's a subreddit for bread nailed to trees.
Oh, is that a sub? Is there like a?
There's a sub war between the two of them. I
believe. Is that like Hydro Homies in the original one?
Yeah, there's also the like potato salad and John Cena subreddits.
I'm not familiar with this.
So r/potato salad is a John Cena subreddit, and r/John Cena is a potato salad subreddit.
Oh, is that like trees and marijuana?
Yeah, it is like trees and marijuana. Yeah. Because I think that the joke is like John Cena is so vanilla. He's basically like potato salad, because you can bring potato salad to like any food event, and no one's gonna be upset about it. Kind of.
That's true. Anything I see John Cena on, I'm like, okay, what's this about?
Yeah, it's probably like, it's probably okay.
Yeah, and if someone brings potato salad to the function, I'm like, I'll see what this is about.
Yeah, did you ever watch John Cena's Hollywood debut movie, The Marine?
I don't think I saw that. I've seen the one with him where he's like a stepdad or whatever.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Is it Will Ferrell? Is that the same movie?
No.
I don't know, man. I saw another movie with him in it.
I can guarantee Will Ferrell was not in The Marine. It's
no, not the Marine. I'm trying to think of another one. Hold on. Let me look this up really quick.
The Marine's just such a. It's a movie.
I've heard about it. How's his acting in a dramatic role?
It's just John Cena. It's just John Cena with regular John Cena things, and children love John Cena.
Oh, no, that's Mark Wahlberg, not John Cena. You know,
they're easy to confuse.
Beefy white man that looks mad. Yeah.
I want to make a kind of messed up joke here, but when we were in Florida, we were getting dinner one night. On the TV was volleyball, women's volleyball, or like college women's volleyball, and the Stanford team looked like 6 clones of each other.
All named Rebecca.
Yeah, they're all just white ladies with blonde hair.
Yeah.
And there was one with brown hair. Nice. And that was the only defining feature. And I straight up was like, I can't see because I don't have my glasses on, but I think they just keep zooming on the same person a bunch of times.
It's kind of like that with soccer, though.
Whoa. Are you talking about women's soccer?
I'm talking about men's soccer.
Whoa.
Everybody's small. Everyone looks the same. I can't tell who's who. I can barely see what's going on. There's 1 point a game.
What? This man's talking about the beautiful game right now, and he's talking smack, okay? Soccer's I don't know. I think soccer is something you got to get into when you're. I think sports in general. If you get into them when you're young, you'll just kind of like stay with it, and if you don't, it's like meh.
Well, I used to play baseball and soccer.
Really, I didn't know about the soccer.
Yeah, I was a goalie. I was a something. I played soccer for like 2 years.
Holy cow!
Yeah, I hate soccer, so I'm in a position where I could say
soccer
sucks.
Okay, you can say it then. You can say it. I love soccer a lot, actually. I follow soccer regularly.
Baseball's the best, though. Baseball's the best.
Baseball is perhaps the least interesting sport I've ever watched.
See, that's the thing. I don't watch sports. I hate, like, in general, I don't watch sports, but I love playing baseball. It's just I don't have a team of 20 people, like, and, you know, that whole thing, but I love baseball.
I've never played baseball. I played touch football in middle school with my friends. I didn't like it because I can't catch very well, and I've never played soccer. I love watching sports though. I like seeing people be good at things. I think is the thing.
Yeah. I was trying to play like touch football or something when I was younger. I was like maybe 9. But I looked like I was 13 because I was morbidly obese. And so they were like, oh, you'd be good to play football with all these kids. And so they put me in one thing above it. So like my introduction to football was getting tackled and like all that kind of stuff as a 9-year-old. It was a mess. I only went to that for like a week and then I dipped out.
I don't think I've never wanted to play football.
I don't like football.
I don't like football either.
I play Madden though. That game's pretty fun, but I don't like playing football.
So I don't know anything about football to the point that I've played the NCAA version of Madden for football, and my brother and I just played the mascot version and just ran Hail Mary plays over and over and over again until we won and lost. And we lost a lot. I don't think we beat the AI ones.
Well, those games are hard. They expect you to know what you're doing.
I don't know. When we were in college, we went to the U of A
games, yeah.
And you guys had to explain to me what's going on because I legitimately don't know anything about football. I know there's like a 10-yard line and then there's downs, but not like the medical kind. And then there's just
four shots on the thing until you have the
That's
crossover.
right. Yeah,
like checkpoints. That's basically it.
Yeah. You guys had to explain all that to me, and I still don't really understand. I've never watched a Super Bowl either.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
It's whatever.
It's whatever.
But speaking of sports, the Wimbledon YouTube channel put out their top shots and top matches of the decade. So I have some shots of the decade questions for you.
Oh wow.
Yeah. What was your game of the decade?
Oh wow. Game of the decade. So that's 2010 to 2019.
Yeah.
Finish.
Yeah.
That is a good question. Do you have an answer? Because I'm thinking.
I mean, my favorite game of the decade was probably Stellaris.
Go ahead and talk about why while I ponder why Dark Souls
yeah,
is
I mean,
my game of the year.
did you say Dark Souls?
Dark Souls is my current thing. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I don't know. For me, Stellaris is just it's a fun game. It's you start off as one planet and you have to conquer or coerce or befriend the rest of the galaxy, and it's just dealing with that, and the story kind of
like Civ but intergalactic.
Yeah, it's like Civ but intergalactic. The only difference is that Civ is turn-based and this game is not turn-based, real time. So it every second is like a day of in-game time, and so like time just constantly ticking, and you just have to like keep managing stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like it. I like the setting. I like the gameplay. It's super fun.
When did that come out?
I have no idea. I got into it like 3-4 years ago though, so I haven't been in it for very long.
I'm trying to think. This is tough because I would think that my favorite game of the decade would be a Geometry Wars game, but the only Geometry Wars game that's come out over the past 10 years was Geometry Wars 3, which was essentially Geometry Wars 2, but worse. So I don't think I can give that an award. I enjoyed a lot of games. I played a lot of games. I really love Max Payne 3. A lot of people don't like Max Payne 3 because it's not like Max Payne 2 or Max Payne 1. But the shooting in that game is incredible. You can see the little chunks of carnita fall off of people when you shoot through them.
I like how you use Spanish there. That's good. That's funny.
So it's like the bullet physics are great. The shooting feels great. The only part that sucks about that game is that it takes forever to load, and the cutscenes are like unskippable as a result because it's loading in the background. Even if you have an SSD, it takes forever. So because of that, I can't really consider it for my game of the decade. That's why I'm thinking Dark Souls, just because I think that game is so good, and I really didn't like it for like 3 years. Any game that can grow on me like that over time is something unique. Because like I remember it came out the same day or roughly the same time as Skyrim, and me, Alex, and JC, I'm pretty sure the three of us, there's the infamous picture of me at Best Buy with the 5 chins rolling out. I don't know if you've seen that picture. Yes. But holding the Xbox copy of Skyrim. And it was like within that time, I think it was the month before that Dark Souls came out, but Alex and JC were playing Dark Souls because they had heard of it. And I was like, this looks stupid, this looks clunky, this looks chunky. But then over time, you realize that game is perfect. And then that game spawned Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, Sekiro, all these other clones that suck. And Sekiro is like one of my favorite games of last year. Bloodborne was one of my favorite games of 2014 or whenever that came out. So
So it's a really influential game for you then?
I think so. Just because it was so... Like, I can go play it right now and enjoy it.
Okay.
I don't think I have that for a lot of games. Like, GTA, I didn't really care so much for. Like, GTA 5 and all that. Red Dead is cool, but Red Dead 2 kind of sucks. Red Dead 1 came out in 2010, so that might be it. Anyway, I'm going to say Dark Souls.
Okay.
Final answer.
My joke answer is Skyrim is the game of the year every year since it came out.
Well, they keep re-releasing
it. That's why that's my joke answer, because it's only kind of a joke. Next question is the best and worst thing to happen to you over this last decade.
God, dude. The worst is just too dark. I don't want to be like negative Nancy and bring everything down.
My joke answer is college for both of them.
I enjoyed college.
I did.
At the end.
Yeah, when you graduated.
Yeah.
That ceremony was slapping.
Yeah. And like, for me, sophomore year of college was one of the worst years of my life.
Yeah. That
was the only year where I was up at like 3 a.m. crying because I wasn't able to do my stuff on time. And I had a job and all that stuff. Anyway, it was just really rough. And that whole time was rough, but the end of college was great because it was kind of like, I think getting into the CS program was one of the things too, because I didn't think I would, because I like barely know math. So that was a whole thing that felt cool. Graduating college was great. I think moving to Seattle and having that whole thing was great. There's been a lot of high points for me over the past 10 years. A lot of low points, but we won't go into that so much. Yeah, I don't know. I think graduating, I think moving out there with Synovia and kind of that whole thing was fun.
I agree.
Yeah.
I said college is my joke answer because college is both the most fun I had until I like really started to be on be an adult who works and stuff like that. But also mentally, that probably was the hardest.
Yeah.
Some of those semesters were just like, I think at some point during a lot of those semesters, I was probably like, if I died today, it's easier for me to die today than to live tomorrow, basically.
Wow. It's too real.
Yeah, right? I'd be like, oh, God, like if I just died, I wouldn't have to do this.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I'm done with it. Anyway. So the last question I have is do you usually do New Year's resolutions?
I do, but just to be cute. I don't actually care about them.
I stopped doing them because I feel like the meme around like XD, you're not going to actually do these. No. You're just making them up. Like, I feel like that kind of kills the point of them.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been swearing so much. I only said two bad words on this whole 3-hour podcast.
That's true.
I did drop some words before that we started recording, though. But I have been swearing less. But I think, it's just kind of a whole thing. If you want to improve in general, you just kind of have to start whenever. It doesn't matter if it's the first day of the year.
Yeah.
But it just kind of kickstarts a lot of people.
I think the gym's going to be real busy.
Yeah, it'll be the James.
It'll be the James.
For a little bit.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I've been making that joke for years and no one's ever laughed, so thanks. Thanks for validating my bad sense of humor.
Yeah, that's it. I don't do New Year's resolutions.
Smart.
Yeah.
You don't do Christmas. You don't do New Year's resolutions.
Nah, man. We celebrate New Year's partly because it's New Year's and also because it's my grandmother's birthday.
Okay.
She's born on January 1st at like 2 a.m. or something.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, so we celebrate at midnight. One year we dropped a whole handful of confetti on her head. She was so mad at us.
I believe it.
For probably the rest of the year.
Was this recent?
She said, no, this was like a long time. She said like she would be washing her hair like months later and then like glitter would fall out still. Cause it wasn't like, it was the confetti that has glitter mixed in with it.
The worst.
Yeah. It was like the New Year's confetti glitter stuff. And we just four of us took handfuls, like just handfuls and just dumped it on New Year's. The couch was covered in it. Like she was covered in it. She was real mad at us.
Yeah.
We've never owned confetti since then.
That stuff is just made to be annoying. It's not actually practical.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't like glitter.
No. No glitter. How about that's our new podcast rule? No food, no glitter.
No food, no glitter.
Anyway, we should probably call it.
Yeah, I think we're good. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. This is a long episode.
This is a very long
episode. Joseph and I haven't seen each other in a while. We just kind of went off the rails. Talked a lot about home games, though. Good job, Joseph.
If this was good, let us know. If this was bad, let us know. We don't know what people think. We've done 46-minute episodes. We're doing a 3-hour episode. Probably the correct answer is somewhere in between.
Maybe they just want longer episodes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's like, what's my... It's like, spend my whole workday listening to half an episode of the Home Games podcast. What's this called? Patch Notes?
Patch Notes. Joe Rogan's podcast is like 3 hours. Right? Yeah, I saw the 10 years thing. That thing is 4 hours.
Depends though. Some of them are shorter. Some of them are like crazy long. Like the Alex Jones one is like 6 hours long.
Yeah. After a really long episode, it's traditional for him to like slap the table a couple of times and lean back and say, "We just did X number of hours." Anyway, all right. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
We'll catch you next week.
Oh, we have a Twitter.
We have a Twitter.
Homegames.io on Twitter.
We also have emails.
Email us. I'm Joseph at homegames.io or homegames.io. We have a website. It's homegames.io.
Yeah. Don't email me because I don't have a client set up still. That's what Joseph has told me repeatedly.
But he's Yazeed at homegames.io. Send him messages and he'll get them when he actually checks his email sometime.
I don't even check my real email or my work email. You should send them to the Twitter and then we'll all see them.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.